Sabotage. That's the only word I'm using today. Absolute sabotage on a Friday edition of On Cue. Rich Quiñones here. Get in early, often. Don't forget to comment, like, hit the subscribe button. Sabotage. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm absolutely annoyed. I couldn't wait to fire off this morning. I've had like 7 cups of fresh roasted coffee. I am so annoyed. Forget about the sport of basketball. Forget about the league of the WNBA. But when it comes to coaching and malpractice, I have to take a stand. I have to. I just can't do it anymore. I cannot do it anymore. I can't deal with it. This is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, malpractice at its finest when it comes to Stephanie White. This is malpractice at its finest when it comes to this Indiana Fever organization. This is malpractice at its finest when this GM allows this head coach to coach the way she coached and never holds her accountable. And last night was another friggin' example of why this woman needs to go. I don't care what they do the rest of the way. I don't care if they make a deep run into the playoffs. I don't care if they win the friggin' championship. This woman decides every other friggin' night that this team plays to force feed the basketball into Kelsey Mitchell. That's all this is. That's all this offense now is. It's predicated around Mitchell. Why? So she can get her look. She can get her shots. She can get hers. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And not only is she capping the ceiling of one Caitlin Clark, who, oh, by the way, let me get this out of the way, has not played well last night. She played poorly last night. She played absolutely poorly last night. She doesn't get a pass. She does not get a pass in a 91-85 loss on the road to Dallas in a game they should have friggin' won. But their defense is an issue. They're too small. They can't friggin' rebound. And they're not physical. But last night, I am over this head coach. And I don't know for the life of me how some people can still defend this woman and say she is a good head coach. It's utterly ridiculous. And I'm telling you guys this, a lot of people don't want it. Coaching is everything in sports. It is. Coaching is everything. You need to have a leader of men, a leader of women. You have to figure out a way to get everyone involved. It's like having a great offensive line and a great running back, but yet you decide you're going to keep passing the ball, knowing that you can run against the defense. It's friggin' malpractice. I am so over this head coach, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm over this head coach. Because it's beyond favoritism at this point. It's absolutely beyond favoritism. It's to the point where it's like, you got to be kidding me. Clark played piss poor last night. She did not play well last night. She didn't. No excuses. But my God, let's force feed a basketball into Kelsey Mitchell's hands, who's a phenomenal player, who's having an outstanding season, who scored 37, had 21 at the half. Oh, by the way, let's set the record one more time. Let's get to that 21st consecutive game with at least 20 points. Because that's all this team and franchise is concerned about. This head coach doesn't give a shit about winning. She's placating the players that she plays favorites to keep in their good graces. Because they don't want Kelsey Mitchell to ever turn around and say, I don't want to play with this organization anymore. Forget about contracts. Forget about Epic. Forget about all those deals. Nope. Let's just keep force feeding her the friggin' basketball. And what does that do? That takes everyone else out of their offensive game. There's no continuity. There's no consistency. Like I said, Clark played poorly last night. But I saw a player that I don't think I can have said this on one hand. With Caitlin Clark, she looked disinterested. She looked absolutely annoyed out there. She looked disinterested on the floor, like she didn't want to be there. And I don't blame her, because you've got a head coach that is doing everything in their power, everything in their power to screw this kid. It is flat out sabotage. Forget about the playoffs. Forget about the MVP conversation on this day. What it is a head coach that is deciding The hell with this player. And Mitchell, great player, but I'm sorry, she's also selfish. She is like, look at me. Look at me. And the difference is when you talk about Caitlin Clark getting people involved, when she scores, people get involved. When Mitchell scores, no one gets involved. It's ISO. It's 1-on-3, 1-on-5. Fantastic player. Brilliant player. Unbelievable friggin' finisher. But come on. Stop force-feeding her the basketball. Then what? You turn around and you've got a generational talent on the floor that's afraid to shoot? That feels the need where she's got to pass up shots she regularly takes? I mean, God, we've been killing Boston to talk about her tentativeness. There was a three-point attempt last night by Clark in the third quarter, I believe, where she literally, I felt she hesitated, then she finally pulls the trigger and she left it short. That is just a mind F by this head coach. That's all it is. I'm sorry, you cannot defend this head coach anymore. You can't. You have, two excellent players, great players. You have one enigma, but can be a wonderful player at times in Boston who disappears. You've got three top players in this friggin' league, and you can't make it work. This is why I've said it from the get-go. I've said it months ago. It's not going to work with these three. It will not work with White, Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark. It just won't. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's not even up for debate anymore because they forgot they had number 22 on the floor. The game plan wasn't to get a friggin' W in the W. You know what the game plan was last night? It was basically, let's get KM, hers, so she can continue this 20-point streak. Who cares? That's your mentality with the playoffs right around the corner? It's like, let me get the players to get theirs? And that's acceptable as a fan? On any level, that's not acceptable. On any level, that is not acceptable at all. Benny chimes in. I've been enjoying these Fever Clark streams from Vegas. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Mr. Saul says, last night didn't look right at all. It did not look right at all. It looked like a you-know-what. Pam said it perfectly. Pam said it perfectly. It was a disgrace last night. It was an absolute disgrace. You have a great talent, and you don't want to use her. You want to run this it's basketball 101. Why am I giving the ball to Boston, then I got to fight through screens only to get the ball back at the same position she was just at? That's not basketball. It is malpractice. And people need to wake up. They need to wake up. You have a head coach that is more concerned about getting a star player into the fold, and then you got to deal with the nonsense again with the officiating last night. Then you got to deal with every time she turns the ball over, she's got to look over her shoulder. Every time she misses a three, she's got to look over her shoulder. It's like going into your job every Monday and knowing you had a relaxing weekend, and then you start to get stressed as soon as you step foot into the friggin' office, and you start to get little heart palpitations because you know your boss is going to break your balls. And you got to walk on eggshells. This is flat out, she is trying to go out of her way to screw Caitlin Clark, especially when we're talking about the MVP conversation in the race. Which again, last night, she played poorly. Does it wreck her chances? I don't believe so. The other day I came on the air and said, all it takes is one injury. Well, what happens? Miles dealing with an ankle injury. Maybe Wilson struggles over 2 weeks, but that's not why I'm aggravated today. I'm aggravated because you are capping her ceiling as a player, as a generational talent. Why? To appease another player who you feel didn't get her shine or love over the last several years? So she's got to get hers? It's a meaningless friggin' streak. It is. It's a meaningless streak. And you watch how they defend it last night with Caitlin Clark. They decided we're going to try to get the ball out of her hands. It just, teams now game plan because they realize double, triple, she's giving it up. She's got to fight through screens. She's got to work so hard, right? But the head coach will sit there and hear what the coach of Dallas said, well, this is exactly why you got to take the ball out of her hands. They're game planning for us. That's a crock of shit. You get her going downhill, forget about this half-court offense or this hub, whatever the hell it is. Boston on a friggin' island, fantasy island. This coach stinks. She absolutely stinks. I don't care about track record. I don't friggin' care what she did as a player. I don't care what she did in college. She sucked up the joint in Vanderbilt and sucked the life out of that program. I don't care that she was on ESPN. I don't care any of that. She stinks. She is going out of her way. She is going out of her way to make sure Mitchell gets hers and a W is secondary. It's not the primary function. They're not going out there to win the basketball game first and foremost. Let's get her to 21. And by that time, when half rolls around, you got a player in Clark that has no continuity, no confidence, no consistency. That's why she's chucking up ill-advised shots. She's trying to make up 4 runs in one swing. I'm telling you. And exactly, Jay, I was on a friggin' night where she actually played good defense. She couldn't do anything offensively. It's malpractice. It's malpractice. Jen, you knew it was coming. Jen, you knew it was coming. It's malpractice. And they had no answers last night defensively. Once again, they stink. Perimeter team. They give up all these big-time shots around the rim. I mean, they have no bodies. That was a bad loss last night. That was a bad loss. That's, when you're trying to make a playoff push, those are games that you have to win, especially on the road, to show that we can take you serious. Now, Shepard was phenomenal. My girl, Oka. I mean, she was just, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? That kid, wow. And then Vyer, I don't want to butcher her name. Oh my God, with the blocks? 6'6", phenomenal beast. What a player. Not protected species. She's a phenomenal player. I mean, that team last night, Dallas came out. Paige, I think Paige can be a little bit of a dirty player, to be quite honest with you. I mean, a couple of the fouls, her and Caitlin Clark going off. Neither Paige or Clark played well. But my problem is when you're force-feeding the ball into Mitchell's hands early on just so she can get hers. Just so she can get hers. And on a night where Clark's shot's not falling, she mentally was not in it in the third and then in the fourth because she was passing off. Sometimes I feel as though the game plan, White pulls her to the side and says, no, you're not going to be the primary option. You got to give up the rock early and often. There were certain scenarios and plays last night where she would dribble, drive, kick out. Then she would be wide open after she flashes over, and no one's giving her the ball. There were opportunities last night where they'd force feed it into Boston, and then instead of kicking out, Clark's wide open, Boston decides, I'm going to go up with it. And I still can't figure out Boston, even though she had 14-9 last night. It's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show, and I blame this head coach. I blame this head coach. The bench didn't do anything. They didn't. They can't body up. They can't size up. They can't do anything. They're supposed to rely on this bench. Boston's sitting there, well, let's go to Cunningham, primary option, who's wide open, but you also had Caitlin Clark flashing in the coffin corner, and you decide not to give her the basketball. Why? She's like reverting back to head coach to like pre-all-star offense. Let's just slow motion, stand around. Again, this friggin' hub nonsense. I can't friggin' stand it. No one's moving, no one's screening, no one's friggin' cutting. And you can throw rebounding out the window. You did it against Toronto. This head coach thinks she's too cute, too smart for the room, and it's so obvious, man. It's no disrespect to Mitchell. It's not about Mitchell. It's not. It's not about Mitchell. Brilliant player. Little selfish at times, 100%. 100%. But I'm telling you, when you have a player that can knock it down anywhere, and now you're forcing her to force feed the basketball to other players because you're too afraid to shoot, and you're passing off some of these misses and some of these wide open looks because you're afraid you're going to get pulled, that is a problem. That is a problem. It's malpractice. Look, this coach yesterday, Coach Fernandez with Dallas, I mean, you don't have to worry about having the ball taken out of her hands because the coach took it out of her hands. Does anyone else see what they were doing? Does anyone else get it? You got Boston, and then, like I said, you got a clean look Top of the key. All she needs to do is swing it to the left. Little touch pass to Caitlin Clark. You know why? Because 2 defenders drew out on Boston. Instead, she kicks it to Cunningham. Now, who are you going to trust more shooting a clean look from beyond the arc? Cunningham or Clark? In a 7-point game, even though it was late. And then Mitchell misses the bunny. But that's not why they lost. It's not why they lost. They can't defend. They can't rebound. They're not big-bodied. And Clark didn't play well. These are all true. And Mitchell got her 37. Look at me, another friggin' streak. What good does that do? What good does that do? She put some coin in my pocket last night, total strange. That's all that matters, brother. It's all about the player props. Anthony chimes in. White is going to be the downfall come playoffs. I can't stand this in her rotations, her incompetence. No understanding of using her full roster adjustments. I don't know who the hell did this coach sell what, like a bill of goods? When I was in management, I used to say there's no bad salespeople, just bad managers. Same with coaches. It's a high standard. It's malpractice. It's malpractice, and she just doesn't care. She's more concerned. You see her turn her back to Caitlin Clark? I'm telling you, I've been saying this for months. For months. Force a trade after the season. Enough is enough. It ain't going to work. 20-point streak is about as serious as Reese's double-double run. At the end of the day, what does it mean if it's going to be disruptive to your offense and hurt you come playoff time? Remember, Kelsey took herself out of the game in the 4th of the tempo game for the rest heat. Exhaustion, right? Time management. Yes. Yeah, I mean, she was exhausted. She didn't play on the floor. And she probably would have had 30-something. Look, it's not about her. It's not about her. She's a phenomenal player. Do I 100% love her game? I would say 99. And the small little 1%, I believe sometimes she wants to one-up and she does a lot of ISO, but she is a ridiculous finisher. She is just a phenomenal basketball player. But this streak, for some reason, the organization wants to keep pushing it. Why? Because they want to jettison her into the MVP conversation. Which speaks to, again, how they're screwing Caitlin Clark, how they're sabotaging Caitlin Clark. There's really no other explanation. Look, the clean looks, she's got to knock them down. The turnovers, she's got to cut them down. She actually played better defense last night. She doesn't get a pass offensively. But I believe, like anything else, if I'm going to have the conversation about mind games and the mental lapses and lack of confidence with a player like Boston, I got news for you. Caitlin Clark, at the end of the day, the last time I checked, she's human. She's probably fighting through some confidence issues as well. And she tries to mask it when she hits a long 3. And then the next possession, they don't even feed her. You don't need to invent a game of basketball to understand this. Just like I mentioned in football, if you know you're taking on a team that's given up 160-something yards on the ground and you refuse to run the football and you have your quarterback drop back to pass 35 friggin' times, that's malpractice by the offensive coordinator and the head coach. You got to recognize tendencies. Last night, knowing that you can't match up against their bigs, you need to put the ball in her hands so at least she can penetrate and kick. Then you want to go foul line extended. You want to stop and pop with Mitchell. Have at it. Have at it. How many times did she really drive last night with confidence? None. None. Starting to feel the shit show watching Fever. It's too toxic. It's not bad. It's beyond agenda driven, but everyone wants to get sucked in with the conversation of Mitchell and the MVP. Have at it, man. Have at it. Mark chimes in, casinos love SW. She slowed the pace down. Right? Play the win total. Play the total. 100%. CC was clearly number 1 in the MVP race before Dallas. More so, SW slowed offense for KM to be the star. That's what, listen, that is what she's doing. It's exactly what she is doing. She is not coaching. She is playing favorites. And do you realize every time Mitchell goes ISO 1-on-3 or tries to dribble down the shot clock and puts up a bad shot, which she does, Do you ever see Stephanie White call a timeout or pull her ass off the floor? No. But when Clark has a bad turnover or misses 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, what does she do? She pulls her. She pulls her. And what happens is, because Clark is a passionate player, a high-energy player, you know how she gets with the officiating. You know she gets pissed off. You saw last night. I mean, they literally tackled her on the ground. And then you had the issue with Beckers. She's a feisty player, man. She wants to garner her respect. Her head coach is not helping her out. Everyone can see it. And this has been going on for a while now. So those that sit there and say, well, they made a deep playoff run, she's a proven winner as a head coach. She's not. 2 things have to happen. 2 things have to happen. Or really 3, and it's a 2-prong effect. They need to get bounced early in the playoffs. They have to. They need to get bounced early in the friggin' playoffs, and you got to have maybe a player come out, and I don't think it's going to be Caitlin Clark. Someone barking a little bit about the play, the scheme, offensive scheme on the floor. And then you force the hand of Amber Cox to fire her. Because other than that, what do you think is going to happen if they continue down this path, even next season? You're wasting a generational talent's prime in Caitlin Clark. That's exactly what they're doing. Am I going to say if she goes somewhere else, it's going to be different? I don't know that. Nobody knows that. We don't have a crystal ball. Not coaching. She's an agent. Sabotage CC. It's clear as day. The moment she walked in is pretty clear. We call it a demo. And people were pushing back. If you remember, they were pushing back at that notion. Said it 2 months ago. CC should not play the next game to see it really if they can survive without her. I mean, listen, she's not going to do that. She's a pro's pro. She's not, right? I know what you're saying. In a different world, we might have that conversation. I mentioned, I'm not getting on the floor after she didn't defend the players, but they still came on the floor and they still played the game. SW continues to want to run this awful. Yeah, it's just so annoying, this hub crap. It really is. Winnable game. Dallas allowed Free Mitchell to double and triple CC. That's all they were doing. That's all they were doing. She shot poorly, but there's more to it. There's more to it. It comes into coaching and, again, trying to force feed the basketball so a player's streak to continue. That is a problem. That's a problem. She is doing her team a disservice. She is doing Caitlin Clark a disservice. She is a dirty head coach. She is a toxic head coach. She is. She really is. And I know people, look, you guys know I don't have a dog in the fight. I think Mitchell's a phenomenal player. Yes, I've been pushing and advocating for Clark to win the MVP. I stated the case on the channel. I've never been a fan of Steffi White. I enjoy the game. I enjoy the league. I can't stand the league, but I enjoy the league, if that makes sense. But what she's doing is flat out, it's just, she's got to be held accountable for it. She has to. She has to. Daryl chimes in, we need Congress to step forward. Appreciate that, D, for being the dirtiest coach in WNBA. By the way, if you guys are new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, support the channel. Vegas, Indiana, Atlanta could be tied at the end of the regular season. And it is. When you talk about playoff seedings, you're trying to go out and win games, are you not? You're not trying to force feed the basketball so, again, streaks can be alive. That's coaching with a friggin' agenda. This is different. This is not a running back late in the season, in a season that's lost, and he's at 1,500 or 1,400 yards, and his incentives are at 1,500, and you give him the football late in the fourth quarter so he can hit his number. This is regular season stretch run, an important game on the friggin' road for playoff seedings, and all you're concerned about is making sure your favorite player gets hers. You ever notice Mitchell always gets these, these buckets? It's like early on in these games, first quarter, second quarter. So you know what happens? You've got a hot hand in Clark coming off some pretty damn good games, and you decide to go away from her early. Why? Because you're more interested in force-feeding the basketball to Clark so she can keep a streak alive, which in the end of the day means nothing. It means nothing. Tanya says, hope Fever lose the rest of the games. I mean, if they play like they did last night, second half was ugly. It was all about Mitchell. It's always about Mitchell. Great player, phenomenal player, but my God, can you make it any more evident? Like, I'm not going to solely blame the head coach, but this is a pattern. It's a pattern. They couldn't rebound. They couldn't defend. They had tired legs. Obviously, Mitchell didn't. She played fantastic. We know it's a small team. You've got some big girls on the floor in your opposition. You can't friggin' rebound. You can't offensive rebound. You can't box out. You can't body up. That's going to be a problem for them. Now, that's your best bet. Get them bounced early in the friggin' playoffs, and you fire this head coach. Because it's too late now to sit there and say, we're going to run the offense around Caitlin Clark. They're not going to do it anymore. They're going to ride this friggin' streak out. And again, what happens last night? My God, you couldn't write a friggin' script. As God is my witness, they come on the broadcast and they just gloss over the numbers that Clark was putting up. You can't make this shit up. They absolutely, it's like, oh, by the way, they refuse to mention her name. It's like, Jesus, God, we get it, man. Like, we get it. You just gloss over the stats during the opening. What a bunch of friggin' clowns. Just kiss the ass of the player you want to kiss the ass. Placate all you want. Go ahead. She is a rhythm shooter. She is a rhythm scorer. And I'm pissed off, too, because she needs to friggin' play selfish friggin' basketball. Overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to force feed the... I want to keep saying football because we had a great football show yesterday. If you missed it, James Hasty gave 2 unbelievable stories regarding Dennis Byrd and also Derek Thomas. Fantastic stuff. We did football yesterday, but I keep thinking about football. It's on my mind. They tried to force feed the basketball. She's got to be selfish. She has to be selfish. Clark needs to be more assertive as a leader on the floor. Communication could be better. I don't know. Michael, it's a great point, but I don't know if that's her game. Like, I want my guard, my leader, to be vocal. You got to scream it out, no doubt. You have to. But I feel as though if something goes wrong, she droops, she drops her head. That comes with maturity and fighting through it. But the coach isn't helping her. It's every time she's looking at, you ever notice? She always looks at a bench during a timeout or a stoppage on the floor because she thinks she's going to get pulled. Billy B, what's up, brother? CC shots definitely off last night. She was basically cost and manhandle grab all night with no foul. Yeah, listen, they play her differently. They play her differently. I would love to see a coach in the NBA pull a point guard leading an assistant third because of a turnover. But that's what she does. That's what she does. That's what makes it so perplexing. You have to allow guards to play through it, man. You have to allow a player to make a mistake within reason. But how many times, and again, it's nothing personal towards Mitchell, how many times did you watch that game last night or watch these games over this street and she turns around and she's going 1-on-3, 1-on-4, 1-on-5? Yeah, sometimes she finishes, no doubt. But that's not basketball. That's blacktop. That's street ball. That's not how you run a friggin' offense in any league. You're not going to win playoff games like that. It's like give the ball to number 23 and everyone get the F out of the way. Remember Colin said that with Jordan? Everyone get out of the way. And the coach allows it. The coach goes, Mitchell, I've watched her for years now. Unbelievable finisher. Unbelievable. Just has this just acumen to know to get to the rim. But I've also watched where she'll bring the ball up the floor and no one else touches it. And she'll dribble down the shot clock. And then finally, she decides to maybe try to draw a double, which is rare because Clark doubles into triples, and then she kicks it out. That's coaching. That is a problem. You need to pull her to the side and say enough is enough. She won't do that. She won't do that. Done with Boston, overrated, way overpaid. CC passed her dime, didn't it? That, yeah, I don't know how, what other word? Is that too strong, Anthony? Is that too strong of a word? Sabotage? Really? Is it too strong of a word? Kelsey says she doesn't care about scoring attention and awards. That's a crock of shit. If that was true, she wouldn't be so selfish. Had she told SA, I don't want to need score every night. Let's play. Yep. It's not team ball. It's not team ball. Okay? It's not. Really, how important are awards? Smith, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. It's not about the MVP. I'm not talking about it. I'm saying capping her ceiling as a player. As a player. That's what I'm saying. She's capping her as a player, man. And they're glazing over Mitchell every chance they get because of a streak. Because of a streak, she's going to do that. That is a problem. And you've got players on the floor that need to be coached up. Why in the world can Boston not figure out where the hell she needs to be on the friggin' floor? Come on, man. You might be 23, 24, but let's go. Get your head out of here. You know what? You're not supposed to clog the lane. You're supposed to open up the lane. It's not excuses, Paul. It's facts, and you don't want to deal with it because you've got your agenda. Are you honestly going to tell me right now this coach is not an issue? You know basketball. I'm not making one excuse for Caitlin Clark. She played piss poor basketball last night, but I'll be damned if I'm going to give the head coach a friggin' free pass. Come on. You guys know the game. If you're going to sit there and put all the blame on a quarterback because he's got to drop back 35 times, and yet you're playing against a 32nd run defense in the league, is that the quarterback's fault if he throws 4 picks, or the offensive coordinator not running the friggin' football? Kelsey can score 30-plus a game, still lose because that's all she does. 37 and they lost last night. Could the players be afraid of SW connection? So, Mark, interesting. I floated that theory out a week or two that I believe this head coach has more clout in this league than we see. Panama, appreciate that. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, the owners and the GM. I told you, they won't. This coach never gets ripped or criticized. She's married or in a relationship with Lisa Salters. Lisa Salters works for ESPN. ESPN will never rip Stephanie White because she worked for ESPN as well. She stinks as a coach. She stinks. And I'm so friggin' tired of people pushing back at me, sitting there saying that she's a great head coach. She's not. She does nothing that blows you away. She doesn't understand tendencies. She doesn't understand weaknesses. She doesn't really understand the flow and fluidity of the game. And she doesn't understand the concept or just chooses not to believe in Caitlin Clark right now. That is a problem. That's a problem. 2 hours on the same team, you don't have a dog and fight. I talk baseball, talk basketball, talk NBA, talk hoops. I don't know what you want to know, Kenny. You know, we have a nice WNBA audience, so we keep it rolling, brother. I'm not an Indiana Fever fan. I love Caitlin Clark. I think Mitchell's a phenomenal player, but I also like Miles. I also like Wilson. I've defended Angel Reese. I'm a hoops fan, but you keep chiming in too, brother. So what does that tell you? 5 of the dirtiest players played for SW 3 years ago. Dallas had 21,000 in attendance last night. If SW doesn't play to win, they'll lose that momentum. So you look at her track record in this league, and you look at what she did in college and what she didn't do in college, and all the stuff going on with Vanderbilt. She's got sway and pull in this league, and I'm going to tell you why. Because she has said things publicly that any other head coach in any other league would have been dismissed, would have been fired. But they're not going to do that. Again, it trickles down to the relationship she also has with the other head coaches, the league owners, and the rapport she has with Humpernick, the commissioner, which nobody speaks of. Nobody talks about it. She stinks as a head coach. She's not good. And I threw it out there. Who are some of the worst head coaches in the league? You can tell some of the casuals don't even know who some of these head coaches are. But this is any other league, any other sport. I would say the same thing. If the Giants are playing on Sunday and the Giants are running the friggin' football years ago with Saquon Barkley, and I don't know, at the time, who the hell? Let's just throw Dable out there, who's no longer with them. He's with Tennessee, but he decides we're not running the friggin' football anymore. It's a fireable offense. Do you not get it? It's a fireable offense. Mike in Ohio, Q, I know you're talking hoops. Excellent spot yesterday with James Hasty. Phenomenal. If you missed it, all-pro, defensive back, Chiefs legend, James Hasty. Oh, by the way, we do talk NFL on the show, just for those that, like to kind of tweak. And college football. James Hasty yesterday, phenomenal spot. I actually asked him point blank, what was the moment he decided to walk away? The story's phenomenal. And we went through all these head coaches. And it's one of the other reasons I wanted to come on today with this. So we were breaking down all the first-time rookie head coaches in the NFL. And it's all about the staff under you, the coaching tree, right? It's not always about the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, but it is, again, sometimes tight ends coach, the quarterbacks coach, the, game day passing coordinator. And it goes into what I'm saying today. When you look at the staff of the Indiana Fever, when you look at the staff of some of these teams, coaches coach, players play. We understand that. But you also have to put your players in the best position to try to win games. And last night, the agenda, their first and foremost priority was not winning that basketball game. It wasn't. Anyone who has any ounce of just smarts and basketball acumen and or IQ understand the game plan was to get the ball into whose hands? Mitchell's. To get her over 20 and to keep that streak rolling, because now we've got something to talk about. Now we've got something to push as an organization. But yet, you also have a player who's been in such a freaking groove since the All-Star break, putting up historic numbers, and you decide to not even put the basketball in her hands. That's a problem. That's agenda-driven. That's not about wins and losses. And that's why 10 players quit at Vanderbilt. Unadulterated, what's going on? All my children in b-ball shorts. I feel bad for Mitchell. I think she likes CC, but she's an offensive weapon who wants to win. But I do think Boston has an issue with CC. I think it's pretty evident. And remember you guys, not you guys, but some of you guys were like, I can't believe you're making a big deal about a player going on a podcast. That told you everything you needed to know. I have no problem with Boston sitting there and giving Mitchell her flowers. But Jesus, God, you're going to forget about Caitlin Clark on a pod? And not worthy of MVP conversation? They all played poorly. Again, dude, are you even listening? Are you listening, Paul? Or did you wake up late this morning, dude? Pay attention. Pay attention. She is not the only player you can count on. How the hell is Clark averaging 25 since the All-Star break? And double-doubles left and right. Facilitate and get Mitchell involved so she can get hers. Just stop. She had a bad game. But they also fouled the shit out of her again. That took her out of a game. They didn't challenge. That took her out of a game. And they didn't give her the basketball early, which falls on the head coach. That's what I'm saying. How many times do I have to keep beating down this horse? She played poorly last night, but her coach didn't help her out. They decided the game plan on the road, national window, was to keep a meaningless friggin' streak alive. That's all they cared about. That's it. That's all they cared about. And I got news for you. It's going to be the same nonsense the next time they friggin' play. I'm not giving Caitlin Clark a pass, but I'm also not saying Mitchell played lousy. She was phenomenal last night. But at times, she's also selfish. At times, White presses Clark to give up the basketball, or they don't get her involved, or they want to look her off. Yeah, 37 is great, but you still lost a friggin' game, and she missed a bunny late. She played great. But don't give me this crap where you think I'm coming on the air today and I'm not giving it to Clark. She played bad basketball last night. Even the other night when they won, she had the lapses into friggin' 7 turnovers. 5 of them were on her. She had 3 in the third quarter. She played poorly. I got killed the other day when she had 25 and 10 and people are like, you're criticizing her? I criticize her constantly. My problem today is the head coach. My problem today is the head coach. So now you go on the road Saturday, Sunday. Oh, by the way, New York and Chicago. Hello, bookmark 23 for Carrington and Cunningham. You don't think those are going to be physical games? You don't think that they're going to key on Clark early on because they know? I mean, if these teams were smart, I wouldn't even be keying on Clark right now. Start double and triple Mitchell. Then see if she can get her friggin' 25, her 26, her 37. They don't double and triple her. Man, some of you guys are friggin' clueless with this nonsense. With all due respect, seriously. You don't have to agree with me, but can you be objective for a second? You don't think this coach is going out of her way to sabotage this kid? This coach is just clueless. Clueless. And if I was Clark, I would do something that's out of character. And I would tell you right now, I would totally be friggin' selfish. Oh, I'm going to keep doing me. You don't have to worry about that. I always do that. Appreciate you. Always. We want to gloss over stuff because, again, I had people commenting and tweeting at me, well, she lost based on one friggin' game. Tell me, how would you like to play for a coach that's more excited about a streak than a win? It's not about the players today. It's about the coach. And any coach worth their salt understands what they have. They play the best 5. They line up the best 11. They know when a quarterback is struggling to pull him in, to reel him in, to placate him, to push him. They know when a tackle's struggling. You chip, you give him help. They know when the offensive line is surging, you run the friggin' football. This coach has 2 great players on the floor. And yet, for some reason, she decides to treat one like the little girl with the curl. The little redheaded stepchild. Just leave her alone. The stray dog. She's not bothering anyone. We'll feed her some scraps. You watched that game last night. How many times do you see defenders had a lapse on Clark and she's wide open? All you got to do is swing it, kick it, touch pass. Here we go. Nope. Boston does not want to play with Clark. And if I was Clark, I would be like, screw you two. I'm not even going to try to get you to basketball in the paint anymore. The hell with you. Get the hell out, this friggin' hub crap. It makes no point. It's horrible basketball. So let's bring the ball up the floor. Let's half-court offense. Let's have AB stand at the top of the key, at the top of the arc to get the basketball, little 2-man game handoff, and then Clark runs around. Boston sits there with her head up her ass, doesn't know what to do, and then Clark's got to fight through screens and get the basketball again. What the hell kind of basketball is that? And oh, by the way, then she forces up a bad 3 because the shot clock's winding down. But then the next possession, Mitchell gets it, and she goes 1-on-5 ISO. And you know it's friggin' true. You all know it's friggin' true. We don't speak lies on this show. What pissed me off is when SW was clapping over stupid streak. Instead of being upset, we lost a game. Listen, I've been saying it. Force a friggin' trade. Force a trade. You just said the way Mitchell plays didn't win playoff games. It did just that. No, that's what I said. I'm talking about the way this woman coaches. 1-on-5, I'm sorry. You're talking about winning a playoff or a championship? Isn't that the goal? Is that not the goal? 1-on-5 is not good basketball. That's not fundamentally sound basketball. It's not. It's like ISO ball and everyone's looking around. Again, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. She's a great player. She's blossoming late. She's getting her love, her flowers, her shine. But enough of the effing streak already. You're going out of your way to get hers. Is it winning priority instead of a streak? Instead of a streak. A lousy streak that people will forget in 2-3 years. They'll forget at the start of next season. What good is a streak if you're going to get bounced in the playoffs? Don't you want to work on other things? Like having some players have a little friggin' confidence, working the right offense, but everyone wants to talk about a streak. Hey, that's great. Caitlin Clark had 25 and 10, but if they were 5-5 in those games instead of 8-2 over 10 or 10-2, no one cares about it. They lost a game last night. That streak means dick. It means absolutely nothing. Great, you get your 20. Go force feed her to basketball. On Saturday night, get your 20, get your 25 by the half. And then you look around, you'll wonder why players are looking around saying, when are we going to touch the basketball? When are we going to get clean looks? It's not personal towards Mitchell. It's the coach. That's the problem I have. And when you play the game of basketball, it can't be ISO. It can't be, give me the ball, everyone get out of the way, because that's what the coach wants. You got to be able to have people touch the ball on the floor. And now you're starting to see they are icing Caitlin Clark out. They are icing her out. How many times last night, if you force feed it in and then she flashes and she's sitting right in the corner, foul line extended, or elbow jumper, she's wide open. No, she had to force some shots and try to create difficult shots to try to just generate some offense, to start to get in a rhythm. It's like a running back going downhill. Brandon Jacobs, good friend of mine. You guys know, you feed him the football early, fourth quarter, he's going right downhill. Nobody wants to tackle him. Nobody wants to hit a 267-pound running back that's 6'7". Get him going involved in the offense early. That's my only gripe. They're sacrificing that so Kelsey Mitchell can get her 20+. And that's great for a streak, but that also plays into push, shove, pusher, jettisoning her in the MVP conversation. That's not coaching. That's an agenda. That is an agenda. And I'm sorry if you guys can't see it. Seriously. I just don't get it. And, you know, the other thing is all the minutes restrictions and the BS with the injuries. You know what she was doing? It's like, let me just puppet Caitlin Clark a little bit so we can make sure we have fans in the seats. It's toxic. I don't give a shit what they do this season. I don't care if they make a deep run in the playoffs. I don't care if they win a championship. If they did it, it's in spite of this friggin' head coach, and it'd be a miracle because they're too small, they can't defend, and they can't friggin' rebound. But they need to fire this coach at the end of the season if they want to get the best out of Caitlin Clark on the floor with Mitchell as well. Other than that, this little triangle, this little love triangle, it ain't going to work. It's not. Something's got to give. You know it, and I know it. Those that say Kelsey is selfish, CC got up 15. Where are they going to supposed to come from? CC supposed to keep on shooting until she was 7 and 25. No, there's a difference with just chucking it up there unadulterated. Fair point. But the difference is when Clark scores, she's getting others involved because now the defense, they got to keep her honest. That's the difference. When Mitchell scores, it's ISO. It's Mitchell. A lot of her shots are predicated on ISO ball. And then she's got the willingness to go to the rim. Clark gets others involved, and it's a quick little two-man game. Give it, receive, cut. Here we go. Back door. That's the difference. And no, Clark's got to know if the shot's not falling. I mean, she took an ill-advised three-pointer. I said, what are you doing? Stop. Put the ball on the floor and try to get to the bucket. I would say this, when you have any type of generational talent that's out there, and I don't know how we got to this point, to be quite honest with you. I believe it goes back to the issue with the foul from Thomas, because from that point on, the media's narrative regarding Caitlin Clark changed dramatically. And I understand she has one more year left on her rookie deal. I would do everything in my power to force a trade. I don't see how she can continue to play for this coach. And remember, she's only 24. She's got to mature as a woman and as a player. But someone needs to get in her ear and say, after the season, you got to consider options, man. If she wants to play it out, she plays it out. Then you really think she's going to ask for a hometown discount? No. And then when they don't play her or pay her, what does that tell you? It tells you what the organization always thought of her all along. She's a friggin' mercenary. We're going to milk this cow dry. That's all they're doing. That's all the organization is doing. They go out of their way to highlight Mitchell. They go out of their way. They trip over themselves to roll out the red carpet because you've got a player that's been in the league for a while and now is blossoming. And again, don't even try to debate me when it comes to her numbers, because since Caitlin Clark came in the league, Mitchell's numbers have gone up. It's a product of Clark. It's not about who you take off the floor, who's going to be better, who's going to lose more games. It's not about that. It's about this coach's line of thinking, her mindset, her mentality, and her toxic behavior. And it's not like you got to sit there and say, well, she's not screaming on the sidelines like a lunatic, Q. Relax. No. Man, you know mental mind games that coaches play? If you're a player and your game is predicated on putting the ball on the floor and driving, then you know what? Tell Boston, get the F out of the lane. If you're a player and your game is what? Predicated on flashing and curls and cutting, then run a motion offense. So you've got the golden goose, but you don't know how to use her. You just don't. You decide, she'll figure it out. That's not coaching. That's not coaching. You know what you have in Mitchell. Phenomenal player. Phenomenal. Can score at a clip. I told you, if there's an award for the most, consistent, dominant scorer at times in the league, it would be Mitchell. But you also have a player that has a willingness to get others involved. And that's Clark, who also allows Mitchell to go off, because when Clark is commanding and demanding a double and triple team, that frees up players. That's when you get the cutters, you get the pick and rolls. Listen, Boston, I'm over her, Brian. I'm over her. I'm over her. So if they have low IQ players on the floor that don't understand spacing and movement on the floor, which I wouldn't call it low IQ, I would just say they're not coached up. You have to have some basketball acumen to play at this level and to play at a high level in college. That's, so I'm not going to sit here and say, low Q. Oliver get tired of making excuses. This is basketball, man, not football. Clark and KM were both being cooked on defense. Clark actually played better on defense. And yes, we know Mitchell can't defend. We know she can't defend. No, listen, it's not about the play. It's about how the coach is coaching them, or lack thereof. Ken, for someone that doesn't want to talk fever, you're coming out with some stats, brother. White made it very clear she doesn't know how to use Clark. No understanding of the roster. Too predictable, and the worst on making adjustments. And for those that sit there and say it's just basketball, you got to coach in basketball, do you not? You have to know when to call timeouts. You have to know when to rely on the bench. You have to know when to pull players. Listen, they should have taken advantage of players getting in early foul trouble last night. Now, the bigs of Dallas were incredible. They were phenomenal players. That kid was blocking friggin' shots left and right. She was in the conversation. I got news for you. She was in the conversation. She was at the table. Hands down at the table. But it's not about that today. It's about the head coach capping the ceiling and sabotaging, by the way, any chance she had. If you are a Fever fan or you're a fan of, Caitlin Clark or even Mitchell to some extent, this team organization is better without this head coach, right? Never seen a sport where the media will not question how the coaches coach. If it were the NBA, old school NBA, the analysts would be given. Rick, you are 1,000%. They would be hammering her, but they won't. Because there's not journalists in this league. There are no journalists in this league. There's no real, genuine basketball analysts in this league. They're fanboys or fangirls. They're cheerleaders. That's what they are. I've come on so many times over the years. Even, I mentioned this as an NBA fan, as a guy that's covered the league years ago, and a Knicks fan. When the Knicks choked against Indiana 2 seasons ago, I came on the air on my show, Rick, and literally said, if they lose this series, it's a friggin' fireball offense to Thibodeau. And what did they do? They lose the series and they fired Tibbs and they hired Brown. The rest is history. Any other league, and I don't know if this is a male coach, is he getting ripped? But as I told you, for those that don't know the backstory, Stephanie White's in a relationship with Lisa Salters. Lisa Salters is a respectable journalist and anchor for ESPN. Stephanie White worked for ESPN as an analyst. They're not going to take shots at Stephanie White. And you can't rely on the pregame on Ion or the pregame on Amazon Prime, because their job is not to question the coach. I don't know who the announcer was last night, and forgive me, I forget her name, but she mentioned stats and she said, and I'm not here to debate anyone. That tells you all you need to know. It tells you all you need to know. It's not, this league is not covered properly, because if it was, I mean, hell, you had that Seattle Times reporter quit his job over the friggin' nonsense because they don't want to publish the story on Cunningham. You got Humperdinck coming out, the commissioner, sitting there almost like the crocodile friggin' tears, talking about haters use the WNBA to create conflict. Are you friggin' kidding me? Get your head out of your ass. You're the crux. You're the problem. You also allow coaches to wear certain attire. You allow coaches to defend players that they used to coach that play dirty as opposed to defending their current players. The league is a shit show. It's beyond a circus. It's a clown show from the commissioner down with some of these coaches. But this coach is absolutely a toxic, divisive figure. You've got a generational talent, and you basically just want to you-know-what all over her. Because what? You have no confidence in her? Are you kidding me? You had confidence in her? 25-6, triple-double, 45-10. Now all of a sudden, why? Because the media buzz is, oh man, Mitchell's going off. She's getting hers. Give her flowers. Giving her love. Another 20-point performance. Stick her in the MVP conversation. All WNBA. And the coach is thinking, feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it. Buy into it, buy into it. What a weak-minded woman. What a weak-minded person. A joke of a head coach. Thus, hub. Slow it down. I mean, my God. That's exactly it. If you ran the offense the right way and understood, you guys, we can go out there and coach this team. And they're winning that game last night. It's pretty simple. Allow your point guard, your maestro, your orchestrator to do what she does best. And she'll get hers, but she's going to get everyone else involved in the offense. And it's a thing of beauty. And then maybe Mitchell gets 25, a nice soft 25, couple rebounds, couple of assists. Clark has her 21, 22. Boston at 16 and 12. Bench is producing. You make some plays defensively. By the way, you got to friggin' win. But no, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. That's a problem. No one said why they lose. What are you talking about? No, Paul. No, listen, when they were losing, it's because when they were losing games, I had a problem with the coach. I've had a problem with this coach from day one. From day one, I've had a problem with this coach. She's not a leader. She's a divisive person. She's not about wins and losses. She's about playing favorites. She's about basically having players kiss her ass. Why? Because they want burn. They want minutes. Remember when people were trying to sell us that Raven Johnson was a better friggin' point guard than Caitlin Clark? That was manufactured by the friggin' media. Where the hell's Raven Johnson now? You forced her on the floor a couple times. And then DNPs to prove a point. What? Makes no sense. Or when you threw a bunch of bench players, role players on the floor the other night with Clark, who made them look good. It's not about this streak, right? So the streak was a great streak by Caitlin Clark. This streak is a phenomenal streak by Kelsey Mitchell, but we're not in the business of streaks. We're in the business of winning games. We're in the business of winning playoff series. We're in the business of winning championships. That's what it's all about. This coach is not a championship caliber coach with this roster and how it's presently constructed. Now, you can't blame her for them not having size. You can get on the GM. And the cap issues, they couldn't do anything at the trade deadline. But point is this, coaching is more than just X's and O's. It's more than X's and O's. Sometimes you got to have a feel for your players. You got to be able to pull them aside and say, okay, here we go. Let's go. They don't have a champ. No, they don't. No, the Lynx are the best team right now. And I also think they don't have size. They can't rebound. And you're not going to teach it overnight. Right? You got a 6'2", 6'2" southpaw welter in there. You better friggin' use your jab. You got the size. Just peck from the outside. I don't need to get inside. They don't have size. They can't rebound. That's an issue. They tried to run it back with this same roster to some extent. And we know some of the contracts are horrible. We know some of the players. Lexi is so inconsistent, but she made a great defensive play 2 games ago. Late. Boston has talent, but for some reason, she's not coached up. She's not coached up. I look at it like a young tackle that's struggling, that's holding every single play. They've got talent, they got beef, they got girth, they got strength. Coach them up. Like, her job in the offseason is to really understand positioning on the floor. Her job in the offseason is, okay, listen, if I start to see, if I set that screen, my job's not done. I roll to the bucket. I flash. I clear out. I drag the defender with me. That's coaching. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And there is a difference between force feeding, and I think it's predicated upon what the coach wants. And then what happens is a player that's accustomed to getting others involved, now they're being too unselfish. All you need to do is look, midway point, I believe it was the third quarter. Clark had a clean look at a three, and I've never really seen this from her before. It was I'm thinking hesitation, and then she released, and she left it short, and then she just dropped her head, and then guess what? I think the next possession, Mitchell went ISO, 1-on-5 and scored, and then there was a timeout on the floor, and they pulled Clark. They're not a championship team. Let's concede that. They're not. They're going to get bounced early, but then it's what the organization decides to do. The whole issue is coaching malpractice. When you have great players, you need to recognize, and my football to basketball analogy, it's not apples and oranges. It's malpractice from a head coach or a coordinator to not realize that offensive line is blowing away guys at the line of scrimmage, and you're picking up 4 or 5 yards a chunk, and then all of a sudden, after running it 6 or 7 times, your play action is one thing, right? But if you sit there and try to run this goofy flea flicker and you lose 10, what's the play call? What are we doing? That's coaching. It's not about a quarterback calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. It's understanding teams' tendencies and weaknesses. It's also understanding your strengths that you have on the floor. I mean, it's like basically telling Stockton, don't dribble, drive, and penetrate and create. It's like telling, Brunson, not let him cook. Don't be aggressive. Take the ball out of his hands. It's like Curry, don't pull the trigger from beyond the arc. Like, all those players, you can insert player, they all have specialties. They all have a certain skill set. There are moments in the game where, yes, you need Mitchell to take over. There are moments in the game where she plays with this energy and this confidence where she knows even if she goes 1-on-3, she'll find a way to get to the basket. That's not Caitlin Clark's game because she's not a physical player like Mitchell. Mitchell is a 5'8" guard who plays like she's 5'10", and she weighs, with respect, 220. She's a physical kid. She takes contact. I've said this ad nauseum. I've never seen a player in this league over the last several years have so many N1 opportunities than Kelsey Mitchell. I love her game. I don't love it 100% of the time. I love her dog. I love that attitude, that willingness. But I have a problem when the coach decides every single solitary night the headline's going to be this streak. Let's get her the basketball so she can get hers. And it's sacrificing the rest of the offense. Does anyone else not see that? Then all of a sudden, you got to start playing catch up. You're down 8 the other day, and she's got friggin' Caitlin Clark on the bench in the fourth quarter. Let's chase points some more. That's my whole problem. That is my whole problem. I told you, that line wraps around the block, brother. I'm telling you right now, I don't miss a thing. Yes, I saw that was the late. That was late, the drive. I don't know. She tried to be creative and flip it, and yeah, I mean, but that's not why they lost the game. Look, it's so easy when you have a game like Caitlin Clark had last night and she shot poorly. Again, it's low-bearing fruit. She stunk up the joint. We're not going to bump her out of the MVP. She's not garbage. She's not trash. And in the same regard, Kelsey Mitchell scores 37. Well, that doesn't mean she's an all-time great and Hall of Famer. She's getting hers. Like, again, you got to balance it out a little bit. She might have a game where she struggles and Clark's got to pick up the pace. Or she might have a game where Clark has a 16, 17 assists and 10 of them went to Mitchell. She sacrificed her scoring to get others involved. But it goes back to what I said. It goes back to coaching and understanding, again, who you have on the floor, right? Who you have on the floor. Kind of wish they would have lost last week to the Dream before it went to overtime, then the streak would be over. That's, it's funny you mentioned that. You have to figure out a way. Like, you don't, I don't know. I think streaks are great, but no one's going to remember this once the playoffs begin. No one's going to remember this. Like, it's like in the NBA, 40 games with a three-point shot. Okay, that's great. With a three-point shot, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'm not basing it off one game. She's been ahead due to the books and the odds. I mean, that's just, that's another storyline. They want her to be back-to-back. They want her to win it 3 times in a row. She deserves it. She deserves this. It's not about MVP today. The player that I mentioned deserves a seat at the table. But what I'm saying is, when you have a head coach treating this team like it's AAU, it's a YMCA club, a friggin' PAL club, a high school squad, that's a problem. She's a professional head coach and still doesn't know how to utilize her weapons, still wants to run this crap offense. Do you understand, when you bring the ball up the floor and you've got a player basically camped out in the hub like Boston, and then you receive the basketball 5 seconds later after you fight through screens, what the hell was the point of even having her at the top of the key? That makes no sense. I'd rather have, run it a little more spacing on the floor wide open, and then you rely on your jump shooters, or you let Mitchell do what she does best, penetrate and create and go to the basket. And if it's not there, kick it. But we're not seeing that right now. We're seeing last night was a bad brand of basketball. And the fact that they can't rebound, the teams that can't rebound in this league or any league, you're in trouble. When you have no bigs, you're in trouble. That kid last night was a unbelievable rim protector. What a fantastic player she was. Oh my God, some of the shots and knocking down threes and putting the ball on the floor. 6'6". Phenomenal. Phenomenal. If you ever played like a high school team, coached like a middle school team, lost like an agenda-driven team. Comment of the day thus far. Comment of the day. That's a great one. I hope the Fever don't make it to the playoffs. AB is worse at kicking back out. When she gets the ball, she rarely reads the defense. Coaching. Take the time. Oh, stop it. It was one friggin' series. I knew, we knew you were going to pop that on. I was thinking about you guys too when I was flipping through and watching that. I flipped through and I wanted to watch Mendoza a little bit. You know what? Yeah, I know the pick 6. He's a young quarterback. Leave him alone. This guy made that fake Angel Reese double-double run and it cost the team a playoff run because the coach cannot put the team before similar player stats. You have to go out and you have to win the game. Your sole purpose is to coach these players, put them in the best position, and win the friggin' basketball game. If you lose the game, you lose the game. Okay? But again, coach them up. Coach them up. That's all I want. Get rid of this offense, scrap it, because when they were on the run, it was a totally different animal. Totally different animal. Fever will make CC the highest paid player. I don't think they will. I don't. Honestly, I don't. I don't believe that at all. I don't think they want to pay her. I don't think they really truly value her. They value her when it benefits them. And it's not about her production. You know what it's about? It's about them selling merchandise and filling out arenas. That is what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about highlighting her, accentuating, highlighting her talents, her skills. They're not. For her to go out of her way and actually make a backhanded or a nice soft compliment probably burned her inside. It burned her inside. You see the dynamic. No one is saying you have to get along with your head coach. You have to respect each other. She doesn't respect the player. She just doesn't. She doesn't. Your guess is as good as mine. Because a player like that is too good to pass up on. When you have generational talent, you draft them. But now you have to put in the players, the right players. You have to draft well. You have to build. And you have to have the right coach. This coach might be a good coach, but not with having Caitlin Clark on the team, if that makes sense. Like, if you back me in a corner, she might, if you take Caitlin Clark, maybe the offense, well, we kind of know how they want to run it. Maybe it's a different look. I don't know. But for some reason, she is not the best fit, if that makes sense. She's not the right coach, in my opinion, for Caitlin Clark. I don't believe it's a fit with these two because there is a disconnect, okay? Disconnect. And that's an issue. When you can't get spacing on the floor because you're too, gung-ho about getting one player involved early and often, that disrupts your chemistry. That takes players out of their game. Now, all of a sudden, you got to fight through screens. You got to work even harder for your shot. Never a good thing. It's a problem. It's an absolute problem. Tom at Summers Point. How about your girl AR last night? Hey, listen, I told you this. I got killed for saying she's got some talent. What was she? 1 or 2 assists shy of a triple-double last night? Angel Reese? I've been critical of Reese more for, again, she can't finish around the rim. But last night, got to come on the air and give her flowers, man. 20 points. She was 9-9 from the friggin' floor. She knocked down a pair of threes with 10 rebounds. Oh, by the way, I hit the over. Player prop. Thank you very much, Mrs. Angel Reese. And she had 8 assists and a steal. That game right there, that's a player of the week. I have no problem giving her flowers. And they blew out. They blew out. They toasted the Sparks last night. Howard was phenomenal too. Yeah, listen, no problem coming on the air. It doesn't bother me to give credit where credit is due. She balled out last night. I was flipping through these games all over the place. Kenny chimes in, sign Project B and say, F the WNBA. The league wants her gone anyway. I said that I would go off in Europe, start your own league. There's talk about the unrivaled as well, right? What do we got there? They can't let CC cook. Kiki. They can't get spacing. Fever don't have stretch 4. CC got cooked yesterday. Yes. Of course. Yeah, you can't. It's that, you know what? That's a logical take. It is. Because we're so reactionary. She had a bad game. So people will say, see, I told you she stinks. It's reactionary. Social media reactionary. Content reactionary. These new networks are reactionary. She played poorly last night. If you come on the air today and sit here and say she played well, no, she played poorly. But I think her coach could have helped her out. My whole thing is stop force feeding for a friggin' streak. That's it. Waite, Cox, and Kelly, all 3 deserve to be fired. GM's not going anywhere. And again, this coach, once you've suckered people in, once you've basically made your sales pitch and they start believing in you, it's a wrap. Like it seems as though she has carte blanche. That's a problem. Like she's like safe, if that makes sense. She's safe. And that's a problem. And I can't have one of my best players on the floor be reluctant to shoot because I'm going to get pulled. Or dribble jive and I turn it over, I'm going to get pulled. How many times can you honestly say Kelsey Mitchell has been pulled off the floor after a turnover? After 2 out of 3 misses? After a 1-on-5 ISO? You never, ever see it. The coach allows her to play through it because the kid doesn't lack any confidence. She's like a reliever that blows a lead in the 9th. She comes back the next day and she mows them down. 1, 2, 3. With Clark, for some reason, every time she makes a mistake or she forces the issue, or she forces a shot, she looks over at the bench. Why? Because she believes she's coming out. And more times than not, the coach pulls her. And I'm not even talking about late game defense. Because she actually played better defense last night. But it's clear as day what's going on. It's not even favoritism anymore. If you're not going to use me the right way, if you're not going to appreciate my talent and my skill set, then get me off the floor and get me out of here. So you watch what happens over the next several games. If they keep going into this ridiculous, stupid hub and just, you're going to get the same crap. You're going to get the same result. It was nice a couple of days ago when they were sitting there at the 3 seed and everyone was waxing poetic, and here we go, 8 out of 2 over your last 10 or 10 out of 12, whatever the hell it is, and you lose one game, you don't show up, and you're 6 back. Minnesota's the top seed. They're going to, listen, they're a phenomenal team. Miles carried that team. Rookie of the year, bag it and tag it. Let's move on. Golden State, veteran team. They got bigs. The Aces, we already know. You got an MVP. You got an MVP, and you got some great role players. They're not going to match up against those teams. They're just not. I don't want to sit here and be negative, but you kind of know when you don't stand a puncher's chance in a series. So that might be your best out. They get bounced, and then if they decide they're not going to get rid of the coach and they try to run it back again, you're going to have to deal with this all next season. And the conversation is going to be much more heated. And I'm going to tell you why. Because she's on the last year of a rookie deal, of her contract. And I don't know when it got to this point. I hearken back to when Thomas hit her in the throat. And you wait 24 to 48 hours and the head coach defended the former player. And the league did nothing until silver tape. I feel as though up in that point, the league had nonsense. But for some reason after that, and then she didn't speak for a week, it was more magnified on her. And then when we started to get the conversation of, hey, they're playing well, it's a 5-game winning streak, you blow a 17-point lead against Seattle, she drops 45 and 10, she's got the triple-double, here we go, Mitchell and her streak, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Then the media start to shift away from 22, they start to gravitate on Mitchell and the streak, but then they shift it back to Caitlin Clark when we talk about the MVP, and they are waiting for nights like last night. One game doesn't define you. A streak of games doesn't define you. So like I said, it's not about the MVP conversation because we know the most consistent player, whether you like her game or not, and the most dominant player this season has been Wilson. The most electrifying player this season has been the Rook. The most high-volume, consistent scorer this season has been Mitchell. But the player that I think has kind of put it all in the stew, the scoring, the assist, the rebounding, has been Clark. Now, it doesn't mean she's winning the MVP. It's pretty much going to be Wilson. It is. But the coach needs to help her out a little bit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying go on social media and advocate. No. But I guarantee you, if they would have ran the offense like they typically were running it when they were winning these games and got away from this, her numbers would have been better and they had a much more better chance of winning the game last night. And at the end of the day, it's not about the numbers. They should be secondary. But with the numbers comes what? Your increased chances to win a friggin' basketball game. And that's all it just comes down to winning. Double clutching open layup shows hesitancy, lack of confidence. I like tippy-toe. Can't have Boston and CC get 30 each and Mitchell 15. Listen, I don't even think that you don't want that. If the game's a blowout, that's one thing. If the game is a blowout, players are going to get theirs. Did you see Miles the other night? Think about it. If you broke that down 8, 3, 6, 8, they were up by 20-something. Like, that's padding the stats. She's going to get hers. She's a great player. But you have to look at the game in its entirety. And when you're up by 24, you can pad stat. When you're down by 20, you can pad stat. It works both ways. It's fair to say, have the signature moment late in the fourth quarter. And at times, we've seen it, but you need to see it more consistently. But I also believe a lot of that is kind of the residue It's a product of not having her in the flow of the offense early on in games. And once the confidence is gone, the confidence is gone. I need a coach that's going to scheme. I need a coach that's going to make adjustments. She does none of this. I need a coach to understand what the hell's on the floor. She's another player. Like Boston with her confidence, Lexi with her confidence. She made a great defensive play the other day. But it always comes back to what, right? Like the NFL does, the players get bonus for accomplishment. Yeah, incentives. Incentives. So if you got a running back that's near 1,000 yards back in the day and it's week 16, you're out of playoff contention, you're going to force feed him the rock, right? Because you want him to get paid. Now, the flip side of this, the dark side of that is also sometimes teams don't want to give incentives because they don't want to have to pay the player. And sometimes they phase them out. They ice them out. I've had players tell me that over years. I've had running backs that played in the NFL for 10 plus years that were right near their incentives and their bonuses, and they got phased out late in the season. I've had defensive ends and linebackers tell me off the record over the years, they're sitting at 9.5, they need 10, and guess what? They're phased out late. Now they're third down. They come out, they come on the field only on third down. Situational pass rusher. And that's the NFL. They're going to F with you. Some organizations that do it the right way, they want the player to get paid. Others, they don't want to pay the player. And apples and oranges, point is this. The mindset of this coach is to get one player hers, to keep a streak alive, which is meaningless at the end of the day. It's great when you look at the resume when you retire, but it's not helping you win basketball games. It's not. I've seen enough. Caitlin, her handlers, agent, Goldman Sachs, and WABA forced to trade at the end of the season. This team is not built around CC. It's built around Mitchell and Boston. Wake up. David, no one is disputing that, my friend. No one is disputing that. Would she have 6 turnovers last night? She had 6. 2 were really bad. Well, turnovers are turnovers. I'm not going to it's that stat like in the NFL with the interceptions, but yet I chuck it up at halftime, it gets picked. The quarterback still gets tagged with it. She had what? 3 turnovers last night. Pardon me. She had 3 turnovers last night. She had 7 the other day. She had 3 turnovers and 9 assists. She was -4 on the floor. She was 4 of 15 from the floor. She had a couple clean looks. She shorted them. She missed them. But then she was also hesitant. And I also think some of the turnovers, when you have her moments, are her trying to force feed the basketball. There was a sequence last night where they had a 3-on-2, and she usually would stop and pop. You know what she did? She looked off the defender, and instead of just popping it, she just kicked it out. That's not her game. That's not her game. And the couple of the buckets she made, she was defended by Paige, and she just basically faced her up, man. Like she had to knock down difficult shots. But if you're Caitlin Clark and you're a generational shooter, you also need to knock down clean looks. Go back third quarter. She went like this. She hesitated. That's the mind games that the coach is playing. That's the mind games. She misses it here, I'm going to pull you. That's a problem. I don't want to. No, nobody wants to play for a coach like that. They just don't. They just don't. This team, any team that has talent like this, I think your game plan is predicated. You want to push the ball up the floor. You want to negate the bigs. You want to get these guys winding and chasing you from behind. And I'm telling you, man, you've got a player in Mitchell that's like Iverson. She's a blur, man. But you also have to recognize when it's 1-on-3 and you're dribble driving and then you pull it right back out, you got to give up the rock. You have to give up the rock sometimes. It's about confidence. Like for Boston to draw a rare double and be clogged up in the lane, and literally you see Clark flashing wide open, elbow jumper, foul line extended, for Boston to not give her the basketball, Boston is either the goofiest player ever or is just doing it on purpose. Like there's no in between. And instead kicking it out to Cunningham? Ha! No. When Clark gives it up and the defender drags over, and then all of a sudden the defender decides to do the wrong weak side slide and double Boston, all Boston needs to do is a little 2-man game. Give it up, give it back. Boom. And then Clark's going to fire it up. Instead, they rotate it the other way. She gets it. Instead of pitching it to the left, she turns around and she swings it to Cunningham, who rushed a 3 with like 12 seconds left on the clock. That's a bad brand of basketball. That's all that is. And as I said, it goes back to what? Coaching. Coaching. Media overlooks CC. Her teammates overlook her. The coach overlooks her and treats her like a child. She gets beat up on the court like no other player. What's a coach supposed to do? You got to defend your player. That's number one. She can't be out there. But you got to defend your player. And when Mitchell gets fouled, or Boston has gotten fouled, or Cunningham has gotten fouled in the past, I've seen this coach, when they put their hand up, they challenge 50-50. Sometimes when Clark gets fouled, she won't do that. She won't. You guys are focused on a streak. That is part of the Fever winning formula. If the Brass were concerned about the streak, why are they putting Kelsey on the other team's toughest guard on defense? Well, it's twofold. It's not about the Brass. They're allowing this coach to coach because you know why? They're keeping the streak alive because it's giving them more eyeballs. And it's giving the networks to start their broadcast off by what? Not talking about Caitlin Clark or the MVP conversation. Talking about Mitchell, MVP, and streak. So it's twofold. They know what they're doing. They know, go to their social media, go to their feed. They know exactly what they're doing. They tweeted out the most consistent player all season long has been, and there you go, it's Kelsey Mitchell. They are making this MVP push, and they're using this streak as the bullet in the chamber. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it, and they're sacrificing wins, and they're sacrificing the offense. I'm not saying as a whole, because they did win during this streak, but what I saw last night is a prelude of things to come. You bookmark it. I'm telling you right now, bookmark it. You watch. You watch. The next 2 games, watch how they try to get her involved so friggin' fast in the offense so she can get hers, and then all of a sudden they're down 12 points, and they're playing from behind. It's coming. You know it, and I know it. You got a game Saturday at New York, quick turnaround Sunday against Chicago. You watch. They're going to keep riding this, because this is what the coach wants. That's all. CC had 3 turnovers, 2 fouls not called, 1 for shoe, and a hack on another. Yeah, the 1 off for shoe, and then the hack. Yeah, I mean, but look, turnovers are part of the games, man. Turnovers are part of the game, and she's got to be better with the basketball. She's got to work on that. She's got to be better. That's all. If they want the streak alive at all costs, they would give Kelsey an easier defensive assignment, let her save her energy for offense. She didn't play the 4th quarter the other day. They want the streak alive. Come on. It's not even up for debate. I mean, it's not even up for debate. It's a lose-lose right now, guys and girls. It really is. It's a lose-lose. I force a trade in the offseason. I do. I open my mouth, which she's not going to do. I force a trade. I don't care. I don't care. You know what? And by the way, because she was in the MVP conversation, there's no higher ceiling and a return value right now. You're going to get a boatload of draft picks. So if you really want Mitchell to be the focal point of your offense and you want to build around Mitchell over the next 3 to 5 years before she gets older and her legs get a little more tired, and then she's the only offensive cog and they can start double and triple her, and then her numbers could go down exponentially, and then people will say, geez, this is what happens when you trade Caitlin Clark. So then you know what? Friggin' trade her. And then let a 30-year-old carry the offense for the next 5 friggin' years. And then tell me how many games are you going to win? How far are you going to go into playoffs? But you'll acquire a boatload of assets. You'll get multiple first-round draft picks. You'll get a king's ransom, a queen's ransom for Clark. So if their mindset is streak, push, playoff, MVP, Mitchell's it, she's got to be it. She's been here from the get-go, 2018. She's starting to blossom. She's an all-time great scorer. She can average 28 next year. Stick her in the MVP conversation, 35 games or 20-something games into the season. Yeah. Then trade Caitlin Clark. And then let's see how this offense does next year. Go ahead. And don't give me, well, Mitchell was a good player prior to Clark. Yeah, she was a decent scorer, but then her numbers went up from 18 to 20 to 24. That's a jump. Batman, Robin, Robin, Batman. They both get credit. Two things can both be true. So then trade her. That's all. See ya. Wonder why if White and others could turn CC like they were, they would accept her and build around CC. Question, did AB get turned? You have no idea the mind games that go on within a professional team, the dynamic, the locker room. The locker room. Because young players, the last thing they want to do is upset the apple cart. Young players don't want to piss off veterans because they don't want to get iced out. They don't want to get, they don't want to be on an island. I'm telling you, you have to really understand the dynamics of these leagues and these pro teams. Like, I've been in these locker rooms 20 plus years. When players don't like players in certain sports, they're not going to come out and say it, but there's ways, man, because they'll bark to the coach and then all of a sudden it's a different game plan. Are we naive to think players don't get iced out? Especially in basketball? The hell they don't. Players get iced out. And right now, this team is trying to what? They're trying to make a playoff push. They were trying to push one player over another where they could have pushed both players. The media buys into it. So the media starts their broadcast off with Mitchell on a heater, which she is. And then as the game goes on, she knocks down a couple. The broadcaster acts like it's game 7 of the friggin' WNBA finals, NBA finals, March Madness. She knocks down, 2 threes or has 6 points in the first quarter. And here we go. Force feeder, force feeder, force feeder. And then as the game evolves, you're sitting there and you're 22 and you're like, am I going to get a hand in here? Am I going to touch the basketball? Which she doesn't. So as I said an hour ago, if you guys are tuning in Friday edition on Q, Rich Quiñones here. If you like the content, subscribe, please. And by the way, I haven't heard anyone complain about the commercials today, which is interesting. I haven't heard anyone, and I got like 200 comments to get through, but I haven't heard anyone bitch, moan, and complain about the commercials that we're running. Guys don't want me to get paid, do you? Problem last night wasn't turnovers, rebounds in the paint. Yes. But going back to my point to finish it, when you have that problem, that falls on the head coach to put everyone in line and put the best 5 on the floor and win basketball games. Win basketball games. And that's not what we're seeing right now. We didn't see that last night. And I believe they won some of these games in spite of the head coach. TD? Oh, I like that handle. TD Sports Cards. All right. Might have to give me some little more information on that. Page confrontation last night. The problem is they don't blow the whistle when the first grab CC. They wait until her hands were on her hips. Right. And then she pushes her away. But we already know, right? We already know that that's how they whistle. Tom says, no coach in history of basketball will stop giving the ball to a player. That is playing Kelsey Mitchell right now. There's a difference. At what cost is my question. At what cost? Why is it acceptable when Clark brings the ball up the floor to run that hub where Boston just sits there with her head up or you-know-what? But it's acceptable when you inbound it right away for Mitchell to go right down the floor 105. That's good basketball. That's offense. You're going to be in sync. No. There's a difference between giving her the rock when she's got the hot hand, but also doing it and sacrificing arguably one of the best, if not the best, pure point guards in the league. That makes no sense. Mitchell's job is to score. Clark's job is to facilitate and score. Mitchell's job is to score first. Clark's job is to facilitate first, score second. But she can score first if need be. Mitchell can facilitate and distribute like Clark can. It works both ways, hand in hand. Hand in hand. That is my point. No one's saying don't give her the rock. No one's saying don't ride the hot hand, but at what cost? Are you willing to now have a player that is a rhythm shooter start to get hot in the third when you could have sacrificed 6 points and a streak early on to get her going because you decide I want to get Mitchell involved to keep a streak alive? That's not coaching. That's not coaching. It's bad basketball. That's all I'm saying. And I don't care what league, I don't care what team. If this was the Knicks, I would be going nuts. It's like watching that playoff series against Cleveland. How in the world does Atkinson, who still has a job, how in the world does he leave James Harden on an island 16 straight possessions, I think it was. I mean, that's exaggerating. It might have been 8 or 9, where Brunson just dog-walked Harden. That's coaching malpractice. No one doubled. No one slid. They didn't try to even attempt to face guard Brunson. They allowed him to just tippy-toe through friggin' Broad Street, right, downtown Manhattan, and bring the ball up the floor. And he dog-walked Harden during that historic comeback against Cleveland. That's a fireable offense. What this coach is doing is a fireable offense. But it's masked because they're winning, and it's masked because you have 2 MVP candidates, and it's masked because you have a player that's on a friggin' heater. So everyone wants to overlook that. Do you think that shit's going to fly come playoff time when the intensity is a lot more physical and ratcheted up? You're going to force feed Mitchell the ball then? You need Caitlin Clark come playoff time. So now you're doing all this dicking around to get a streak through the regular season, which people are going to forget in 2 more months, and then playoff comes and what? There's no continuity. There's no rhythm or rhyme to the offense. So let's sacrifice the end game. It's not about the long game. It's about a short burst. I'm sitting at the friggin' blackjack table. I throw down my 25. I win. I don't double. I get off. Short burst. I'm not going to hang around for a while. No long game. No staying the course. So a player can finally get her shine. A player that we already know is having a phenomenal season. But everyone wants to just gloss over that. They always want to just gloss over that. Winning cures all, and then when you lose, then you start to highlight crap. I've been seeing this shit for how long it's trending in a certain way. Oh, and that's true. Yeah, and the moment, yeah, correct. We didn't even bring that up. Thank you, Tom Tide. That's a hell of a handle. Thank you. Yeah, she is a momentum killer, Stephanie White. Yes. She does it when she turns it over, but also when she's cooking. Yeah. That's an excellent, excellent point. And forgive me for not even bringing it up. Yep. Yeah. So she'll pull her if she's cooking, but she's pull her when she... Like, there's no winning here. Like, hold her accountable for last night. She didn't play well. But I watched games. Or the other night, you got a jailbreak, fast break opportunity. She friggin' calls a timeout. You see Clark was pissed off. You got numbers. What are we doing here? You can't serve 2 masters. You can't. She played much better defense last night. She didn't turn the ball over as much. They didn't lose the game because of her turnovers. They didn't lose the game because of her shooting. They lost the friggin' game because they're too small and they can't friggin' rebound. Didn't SW make it clear from the onset of the season Mitchell was the focal point of the team? KM for MVP, etc. Remember, SW was a history of creating divisiveness between her players. So when you come out and you talk about the game plan and you openly petition right away, or you highlight, you accentuate a player early on during a season, before the season even starts, that's a problem. That's a telling sign. There's a difference where you say, hey, I think so-and-so is poised for a breakout campaign, and we are blessed to have 2 to 3 really good to great players, and we're going to utilize them to the best of our ability. Like, this is coach speak. I've been around coaches my whole friggin' life. I know coach speak. It's just, I can reel it off for you all day long. She chose another path, and everyone should have woken up after the Thomas incident, where the league had to step in, Silver had to call Humperdinck, you assess the flagrant 2, you suspend the kid, and then White has to walk back comments defending the kid. And then Caitlin Clark doesn't speak for a week. Fast forward, the Carrington issue with Cunningham. The first thing out of this friggin' jackass head coach's mouth is what? Defending her former player. She lost points right there, man. That was it. That was the moment. And don't tell me who's going to coach a team. She's got friggin' 5 assistant friggin' head coaches that are more than capable of coaching this team. That was the moment you should have fired her. That was your out if you were Amber Cox, if you were the Indiana Fever organization. That was your out. Once that woman took the platform and sat there, opened her mouth in front of a microphone, and the first thing out of her mouth was, first and foremost, Sophie's okay, which she didn't say. She would have maybe been safe, but she decided, let me flip the script and let me make sure that I've got the back of a player that I once coached. Are you kidding me? It goes beyond X's and O's. She is a divisive, toxic figure. And there's several coaches in the league like that. Several. They lost that game last night because they're small and they can't friggin' rebound. And they're not physical. They're going to lose the playoff series. Whoever they play, they're going to get bounced early because this coach wants to basically make a point. And she wants to spoon-fed, hand-fed, force-feed a player of basketball that she likes so she can get hers. That's all this is about, folks. It's agenda-driven. It's flat-out sabotage. You've got a generational talent on the floor. You're dicking her around. You're playing friggin' mind games. So when Mitchell gets her 21 at the half and they're down 10 Saturday on the road, don't bitch and complain when they lose by 17 and Clark struggles again. Come on. Just stop. It's unbelievable. Great player. It's not about the player. It's nothing personal. They all bring something unique to the table. I don't know how many times I can keep saying it. She's the best finisher in the league. Yeah, you ride the hot hand, but at what cost? You got to balance it out. You have to balance it out. That's all. Announcer said Paige leads league in fourth quarter points. A lot of games they get 15 points from me. The same thing that happened with Miles the other day. That game was a blowout by 24 points. I'm not saying she's not a great player, but you have to tell, if you're going to tell the story, be fair. That's all I'm saying. There's too many casuals that box score, that don't watch games. That is a problem. And you guys were getting on me the other day about the points generated. How about all the other stats they're throwing out to back Wilson and Miles? No one has a problem with that, but you have a problem when I throw out points generated stats for Caitlin Clark. I don't get paid by the Fever. I don't get paid by Caitlin Clark. I don't give a shit at the end of the day who wins the MVP. I don't give a shit who wins a championship. I want to talk sports. I want to talk hoops. I want to talk basketball. This coach sucks. She's not a capable head coach. White, yellow, green, black, blue, gay, straight, male, female. I say the same friggin' thing on a Friday. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching players waste their careers. Generational talents. I went through this with my teams. I went through this in the NFL with the Giants. You just waste Eli's prime years because you don't address the offensive line. And then what happens? You force Coughlin out. You go to friggin' McAdoo. You fire McAdoo. You turn around, you hire Shermer, who was a jackass. Then you turn around, you get Judge, who was a bully. That doesn't work. Then you get Dable. And you win one friggin' road playoff game against the Vikings, and you decide to give Daniel Jones 4 for 140. I've been down this road before. I can't stand when players' talents are not being utilized and they're being wasted. Now, she played bad last night. But there are stretches during the season where she is iced out. You forget she's on the floor. How is that even possible when she's still demanding a double and triple team? This coach is bad, man. She's bad for business. She has to have some clout. She has to have clout with the league. She's got, I don't know what it is with these reporters where no one is calling out her X's and O's. No one is. That's a problem. It's an absolute problem, man. It's so easy. Like, I don't want to force feed the basketball. I don't. Because then all of a sudden, I'm never giving, I'm never getting a routine. Like, the one play that bugged the hell out of me, like I said, they weren't going to win the game, but 88-81, I think Cunningham missed. You get a long rebound. It's over to Boston. And right away, she dragged 2 defenders. All she needs to do is just quick little touch pass over to Clark. Wide open, clean look. Instead, she tries to either go back outside or they tried to swing into Cunningham who missed. That's bad coaching. That's bad basketball. There's no communication and there's zero chemistry. And the problem is now you've lost trust. Chemistry, trust, it's everything. Just like in life. You got to have chemistry with your partner, do you not? You got to trust your partner, do you not? You've got to have a willingness to get them involved, do you not? Last night was a perfect example. It's like a referendum on Boston over these last several weeks. She does not trust Caitlin Clark. And maybe there's something to be said about her sitting there glazing up and glossing up and juicing up Mitchell on a podcast. Because maybe that's the route she wants to go. She wants KM to have the ball. Instead, she swung it to Cunningham, who was way off. But my point is, that's when the coach got to pull Boston aside in the film room when they look at the game and say, why did you swing it to the right? Why did you not just swing it to the left? You had Caitlin 4 feet away. She had a clean look. That's her spot. And then see what the answer is. And she can't give you an answer, or she doesn't want to give you an answer, well, then I got news for you. Then you bench her ass. Sorry. You bench her. If you're not going to play within the team concept, you're not going to be out on the floor. And like I said, and KB chimes in, Q, you nailed it, brother. I'm loving your passion and show. That was the plan from the broadcast. Yep. The entire intro practice, right? Package, pardon me. The entire intro package, okay, was what? Dedicated to Mitchell. Not your player in the MVP race. So, I asked the Steffi White fans out there, was it worth losing the game for? The entire team iced her out. Cunningham doesn't even want to pass her basketball. Come on, it's clear as day. Enough of the tunnel ball. Enough of the friggin' hero ball. Just stop. Stop, stop, stop. Stop. Maximize your friggin' strengths on the floor. Stop pushing agendas. But we got to sell merchandise. We got to sell tickets. We have to have family of 4 in the 4-pack and the 6-pack, and the young kids come because why? They want to see 22. No matter what, we got to dangle that friggin' carrot. She's a friggin' mercenary. She's a mercenary. Top Gun, what's going on? Mitchell, 2 back-to-back layups instead it turned to 9 points down. Listen, it's not about one moment last night. It's like a microcosm, I think, of just this tenure and this season. The ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. Remember when they were scoring over 100 points? Mitchell was still getting hers, but also wasn't Clark orchestrating, facilitating? That's all. 3 turnovers last night she had. Yes. Early in the streak, she stayed in garbage time and hit the 20. Most forget that. A couple games back, came struggling. Even CC fed her to get her there and put the game in jeopardy. So then is that the coach basically telling her you got to get her involved, or is that the player now who fears she's got to get her involved or she's going to get pulled? That's a problem, man. That is a big time problem. I'm not talking about, like Mike and Ohio says, is it the same thing about not run block and pass protect? No, look, the NFL is a different animal, man. You don't block, guys get hurt. No one's taking a play off to screw their teammate. But in basketball and in this league, it is driven by what? Pettiness and jealousy. So there's that element of jealousy when it comes to Caitlin Clark. You know it and I know it. Everyone knows it. It's the worst kept secret in the world in the league. She's such a polarizing player, and for some reason, she's a very divisive player, which she's not signing up for that. So I can tell you right now, when you have a player that's lacking confidence, and she gets a shot blocked, and she's looking around, or she turns it over, or she's hesitant to shoot, you got to figure out how to maneuver around that. And if you're the coach and you really want to win basketball games, that's when you put your arm around her and say, listen, you still got the green light. It's like Boston. Everyone throws Boston being a great 3-point shooter at the show, but yet when it's time to pull the trigger, she doesn't. hesitation, confidence issue, mental lapses, who knows? So this is where White says, hey, calm down. You're not going to get pulled. We can live with a turnover. Do what you do best. If Mitchell's there, go, primary option. If not, put it on the floor, go to the basket. She's not doing that. You don't need to sit on the bench to see what I see. You don't need to watch these games on a nightly basis to understand what's going on. Winning is not primary, it's secondary. What's primary is getting a player more shine, thrust her into the MVP spotlight, because you have to understand the clout that the networks have when they mention a player's name. When you come on the broadcast and every night it's like Caitlin Clark, you're like, damn, she must be good. When you listen to broadcast every night and they're like, Miles, damn, she must be good. When you listen to broadcast and they're mentioning Mitchell every single second or Wilson every single second, you might be a casual, you might be a first timer. You're walking away saying, wow, that player's really good. They mention her name 1,000 times. They don't do that with Caitlin Clark. Why? Because you even know, I can tell you this, pre-production meetings, right? It's like, okay, what are we doing? Here's the rundown. Here's the cold opening. What are we pushing tonight? We're pushing a streak. That's going to be meaningless in 2 weeks. It's going to be absolutely meaningless in 2 weeks. What good is this streak if there's no continuity on the floor and they get bounced? Seriously, what difference does it make now? For a resume, a body of work, Hall of Fame speech down the road. Remember that time back in 2026 when you had 20-something games at 25 points? Oh, by the way, our offense still sucked, and we lost. We got swept, but this is what the coach wanted. Jesus, could being mauled, attacked, grabbed the entire game have any part of why she had a bad game? CC on a losing team that the world expects her to carry on her own. The MVP talk escalated it. She's defended a certain way, as we all know, and some nights are not going to be her night. I think the way they defend her, they want to be physical with her because the game plan is to take her out of her game early, take her out of her game often. So you can talk about how they guard her, but I also believe offensively, if you ran some plays, if you had a little motion, if you had her curl a little bit, maybe it frees her up and she starts to get off a little bit. And then, oh, by the way, now, when she's knocking down her shots and she's really, truly demanding a double and triple team, that's when she's at her best. You know why? That's when the unselfish basketball IQ and acumen takes over and she's getting others involved. That's when it's a thing of beauty. She draws the double and she splits the defenders. Boom, pinpoint pass, Boston curls, Mitchell cuts to the basket. That's when Mitchell's at her best. That is a thing of art. It's like Picasso. It's a wonderful brand of basketball to watch. But because they decide to force feed, get someone else involved because they have a, quote, hot hand before the game's even started, it throws everything in flux. It really does. It just does. Navila came at 2 trash-ass games back-to-back. We feed her, get her streak kind of like Angel's fraudulent double-double. If that game didn't go overtime, Cam's streak would have ended. I mean, I'm not going to discredit one player. Angel Reese she's doing her. She's doing her thing. She's getting her double-doubles. I mean, we can dispute the merits of it another day, right? But you got to give credit where credit is due. I'm not gonna pile on the kid. I don't like piling on players or trashing players. If a player's not playing up to snuff, I'm going to call them out. If a player's not playing well, they're going to get criticized. But when players are playing well and the team's winning, I'll say this about Reese. She's got a motor. That kid, say what you want about her offense of inability around the rim, she plays hard. There's something to be said about that. And she's got a knack for the basketball, whether it's self-created, generated, rebounds. But it's not about Reese. It's not about Mitchell. It's not about Clark. It's about the head coach. It's about the head coach. Heather, what's going on? What's going on? Fever are the best when Mitchell's the third option because you're working off the ball. And that means Clark is doing what she's doing. And that is playing basketball the right way. No excuse, you all. CC shot poorly last night. Shot she ends up taking her off the dribble. Very difficult. Iced out on catch and shoot. High percentage opportunities. I mean, I wish I can pull some of the highlights, but YouTube, a lot of times they want to flag you on that. But yeah, she had a bad game. Clark had a bad game shooting-wise. My problem I had with the game was to phase that A, B, and K and playing two-man game, phase CC out. That's the crux of my issue, and that's been the crux of my issue for the last 2 hours. And again, without, belaboring the point, it falls on coaching. See, people got to remember, that's great that a player's getting hers, but it's also, she's benefiting from what? Like if Brunson's doubled and tripled and he's getting the ball and they're swinging it to Cat down on the block and Cat has a double-double or Cat has 25 or Cat has 20 in the first, go back and watch the game. A lot of it's predicated on how they're defending Brunson. This is why when people make the foolish argument that, oh, she's not really defended tough. Do you watch these games? They go out of their way to grab her jersey, to smack her hand away, to rake her across the face. No one in the league is guarded the way she is because the league is tired of her. So these players right now, they can't stand the fact she has all the shine. So they're going to try to put her on her ass any which way. And the refs allow it for the most part. So yeah, there's a physical aspect where that takes a player out of their games and they're thinking twice about fighting through a screen. But she's a tough kid. She ran back on defense, got the block. She doesn't typically do that. So she's trying to make up for the lack of offense on the defensive side of the floor. She's trying to get others involved. You dive for a loose ball, you run out of bounds, right? You try to save it, you tip it, you back tap it. Those are things that don't show up on the box score. Now, it does not give her a free pass for missing clean looks that she should shoot. She hits the logo 3, the next position, she's ice out. That makes no sense. That's the shot that maybe gives her that confidence to knock down the next 2, 3, 4, 5. See, in basketball, you look at that first bucket, that first jumper. So when you see Boston or Lexi get into the offense early, the broadcaster should have the presence of mind to note that's a good sign for the Fever. But, if they're not watching the team religiously or really understanding the game of basketball, anyone can tell you that's a great sign because now they're involved. Confidence. Cunningham comes off the bench. She knocks down her first 3. Confidence builder. Now you can rely on her late in the game if need be. But everything that we've talked about and you guys have commented on, it boils down to one thing. There's one X factor. There's one constant in this debate, in this argument. It's the coach. And a lot of times coaches, they're not even fundamentally sound coaches. It's like, let's just throw it against the blackboard. Let's throw it against a refrigerator. Let's see what sticks. That doesn't win championships. X's and O's, yes, but you also have to dig deeper. You have to understand your player's own tendencies. If I have a player that is a volume scorer, a streaky scorer, a player that on any given night can knock down 4 or 5 threes, and all of a sudden I'm drawing the defenders out, and that's going to free up more spacing on the floor, I'm going to do my best to get her going early and often, not worry about some streak. And that's what the coach is doing. And that's not a winning recipe for basketball. CC, she's going to play. She's going to play. She's going to play. It's just a question of where she's going to play. And they're going to screw her with the contract. You know it and I know it. I feel it was a bad plan. The team was tired. These are not excuses, but when you're fatigued, your legs aren't there. 3-point shots, I agree. Coach and CC don't fit basketball-wise. Heather, great point. You know why? When you're short on your shot, especially front end of the rim, you got fatigue. Your legs are tired. Yep. Because you know what you're doing? You're starting to push the ball. Your shot's not coming up from here. Your shot's coming from your trunk. It's all about your legs. So, yeah, they could have been a little gassed. And remember, too, they have back-to-back road games over the weekend. So now how are you going to allocate the minutes, right? Fever and their 2-minute drill is horrible. Poor coaching and awareness. It's not even a jailbreak, Michael. It's beyond piss poor. It's absolutely beyond piss poor. It really is. I don't know if it's about signing women. What they do I don't know. The media is not doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing because I'm speaking facts and truth. The media is not doing the right thing. The media, they're activists and pacifists. You would rather have these journalists talk about trans athletes or gay, straight, lesbian, homosexual, bi, who should play in the league, who shouldn't, black, white. You guys want to talk about that? These journalists' job, cover the friggin' league, what's going on the floor. and you write about coaches that are incompetent, but they're too powerful for clicks. That Seattle Times reporter was there for 11 years. He decided to retire or resign because they wouldn't publish a piece on Sophie Cunningham. Media's not doing their job. They're not. They're doing the opposite. The media is the problem. The media is the problem. Look, I've covered sports for a long time. I've covered leagues for a long time. I was a credentialed member of the media. I've written for publications. I've been in radio. I've been on radio. I still do the radio. I do the broadcast. Now I love doing the channel, and I love engaging with you guys. I don't consider myself at this point in my career, 20 plus years in, as a reporter, a journalist. I'll write. I have stuff that's in publication. Okay, I'll cover. I'll do pieces on players, athletes, fighters, boxers. But I don't consider myself at this point in my career a journalist reporter. When I was covering teams, I was. But I know what the difference is. And I know what these people aren't. And they're not reporters, and they're not journalists. And the media, they're not telling you the truth. They're telling you what they want to push. They're not. They're pushing a narrative and agenda to make it fit what they believe, what they want you to believe, what the networks want you to believe. I told you this so many times on these airwaves. If you watch this network, the POTUS is the Antichrist. If you watch this network, the POTUS is Jesus. You watch CNN, they hate him. You watch Fox, they love him. It's just how it is with this league. No one is reporting on this league objectively. There was a channel, because I get alerts. Somebody sent me a link to it's predominantly WNBA. Now, obviously, if you're new to my channel, we talk a ton of college football. We talk a ton of football. I do a lot with boxing. We love talking hoops and NBA. I got my guys. We just did a spot yesterday with James Hasty, all-world Chiefs legend, right? Bump and run. We talk football heavy, okay? But I got an alert. Someone tweeted me and said, Q, what do you think of this? And I don't even know the guy's name. It's not relevant. I don't really give a shit. But his crux of his show was that Nike made a point to say Nike dropped Caitlin Clark. They didn't drop Caitlin Clark. And no one's checking them. No one's calling them out. No one's calling them out. This is the problem. So it's like free reign to say whatever the hell you want to say and be held no accountability. Like, you might not like me, you might not like my style, but I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to tell you the truth. You might not the way spray it across or convey it. It might be rough, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She played like shit last night. She played poorly, but the coach isn't helping her out. The media's job is to report and be fair and objective. They're not. They're slanted. It's agenda-driven. You walk away from that telecast last night and you think Mitchell's the friggin' MVP. You turn on that telecast last night, you think prior to her scoring 37, she's the MVP. It pains them to mention Caitlin Clark. It pains networks to mention certain players. It's like Collingsworth, who gushes over Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is Jesus. He's the friggin' Pope. Patrick Mahomes can have 265 yards, but throw 5 picks, and Collingsworth will wax poetic about the 265 or the 300 yards. He's not telling the tale. He's telling it from his standpoint, his perspective, what he wants you to believe in Patrick Mahomes. And I love Collingsworth on the air. I do. I enjoy his telecast. I really do. He knows football. He's a football lifer. I hate the fact that he's got a little equity in his website, which is in bed with the NFL, conflict of interest. But the point is, don't say the media is doing their job. They're doing dick. They're doing squadoosh. They're not. They're picking and choosing. I've never once come on the air and said, Caitlin Clark is the MVP. I've defined it, and I said she belongs a seat at the table. Wilson's going to win it. Miles is running away with the Rookie of the Year. Miles will win an MVP one year. And maybe any other year, Mitchell would be there, and this could be her coup de grace of her career. It ain't happening this year. Clark will never win the MVP because the Fever won't allow it, the coach won't allow it, and the friggin' league won't allow it. But the media, again, wants to just push what they want to push. And they're going to keep placating and defending this head coach when anyone who's ever played the basketball can see she's incompetent. She has no idea what the hell she's doing. Every single solitary night, let me just make sure I keep player A happy. I don't give a shit about player B, who's a generational talent. I'll deal with that in the offseason. And again, you guys just want to just keep, glossing over it. Just want to keep glossing over it. It's bad basketball. They're small, they can't rebound, and you got players out of position. Why? Because offensively, they're standing around with their thumb up there, you know what, waiting for Mitchell to just go ISO ball. That's hero ball. That's not a good brand of basketball. Can she finish? Yeah. Can she score? Absolutely. But my God, can you get some other players involved? And then you got Boston, who is beyond an enigma. I don't like calling players lazy, and I'm not going to call a player trash, but I have no idea what the hell's going on with this kid. You disinterested? You don't realize you got 4 other players on the floor? You're just kind of lurching around? Lackadaisical on defense? I go back to the game where Gray hit the threes. She doesn't even try to go for the loose ball. Then she doesn't even try to close out. Which ultimately, again, goes back to what? Coaching. This coach has no problem pulling a player in Clark when she's hot and when she struggles. But for some reason, she won't pull other players to the side and rip them an ass. She won't do it. Those are undeniable facts. I'll start charging on the super chats, man. What do you want? You guys were such a pain in the ass the other day. I mean, 800 comments and you guys are bitching and whining and complaining about the freaking commercials. Take 1 sip of coffee in 2 hours. I haven't taken 1 commercial. What's going to happen then when we start taking phone calls and I'm on other radio outlets with the show? We got to take commercials. You guys are going to have to be patient. I know you don't want to. Bitching, whining, and complaining. Rich, support your remark about players wanting to be accepted by teammates. Look at how I was treated by some at first and what became. I wonder how Flag is doing on his team. Not much info. Young players have to learn how to cut their teeth in the league. You've got the old guard in this league, Shiloh. You've got veteran players that don't like certain players. You've got players that can't stand Caitlin Clark. So what do? They pull their teammates to the side and say, hey, man, you can't let her go off tonight. Do whatever you need to do. And then what happens? They play her very physical. Like, these are not conspiracy theories. If you've ever played sports at a competitive level, at a high level, or you're a competitive player or a competitive person, you know this all to be true. We all played sports, man. I played in high school. I played in JUCO. I played in college. We all played sports. You know when you have an opportunity to one-up somebody or play them a little harder or you're waiting for a little measure of revenge. You know, that competitive spirit and that nature comes out. It always does. You don't think some of these younger players look up to these veteran players and these veteran players like, she better not go 25-10. You better figure out a way to knock her on her ass, teach her a lesson. Yeah, they do. But that also, it's not about toxicity because that's sports in general, man. The NFL, you got that rookie, you're hazing a rookie special teams player. You better get out there and make a play. Better make a tackle. Better protect my blind side. There's pressure to win. There is pressure to perform. And now you've got an opportunity, if you're some of these players that we want to throw in the MVP conversation, then you got to be able to step up in the fourth quarter. You got to be able to make plays, crunch time, money time. That's how we separate, right? The men from the boys from the girls from the women from the boys, whatever the hell it is, right? So now over these next couple games is the coach understanding playoff push, get the offense in gear. Some players that are struggling with confidence, I got to coach them up. Here we go. Or is she going to revert back to the hub crap with a player that's just clueless right now and then force feed someone else to keep a streak going and sacrifice offense, sacrifice wins? If she's out of a job, you think she's going to sit there and maybe she's having a hot toddy one day. She's going to think, yeah, we got bounced in the first round. We got embarrassed. But hey, KM had 30 games of 20-plus points. That was because of me. No, it's not going to be on her coaching resume. It's going to be on her resume that she got fired. She got fired when she has a player like Mitchell, Boston, and Caitlin Clark on the floor at the same time. And you can't win with them three. You can't make it work. Piss poor, man. Piss poor. Piss poor, piss poor, piss poor. You know it, and I know it. What did do? Cute talking real. What's going on, talking ball, brother? You're right. Everyone complains about Mitchell scoring and Clark not getting enough shots. Then this offseason, trade Mitchell and see how the Fever fan. Yeah, it's a no-win situation. DJ, she got cooked big time. She got cooked. Mitchell gets cooked too. Miles cooked Mitchell. Let's call it for what it is. Players get cooked. Young cooked Mitchell. We're not talking defense today. I think we kind of throw it out the window. Yeah, let's see what happens. If you want to be the man, then be the man. And we'll see. You want to average 26 and win 10 games, or you want to average 20 and win 20 games? Because the talent's there, but the coach doesn't coach them up. They still lack size. They got to address it. Yes. It's not about blames. That's all. It's not about blame with the players. It's about blame with the head coach. Because the coach is allowing it to happen. If I have a player that 3 trips in a row, a sequence where she's going 1-on-4, 1-on-5 and trying to create and misses 2 out of 3 layups, and a couple of these layups are horrible, and defensively she's not getting back and she's clinging to the referees and she's bitching, whining, and moaning, I'm calling a timeout and I'm benching her. I'm settling her down. She does that with Clark. She doesn't do it with Boston. She doesn't do it with Mitchell. She doesn't do it with any other player on the floor. She does it with Clark. And there are games where Clark is ripping off 4 out of 5 from beyond the arc, and then she calls a timeout and she benches her. That's the definition of sabotage. There's no other way. That's the definition of sabotage. I mean, then you know what? I'm going to start, 10 is super chat, DB. Chalk it up. Chalk it up. Dallas coach told everyone who was the most valuable player on the Fever, he made sure he trapped and pressured CC, not KM. They would get blown away if they didn't have CC, even if KM missed 40. And again, it's all about wins and losses and at what cost. Sergeant Delaware Q, I love the segment yesterday with James Hasty. Yes, he's going to join me during the football season. Absolutely. Said that Q, that streak was more important than Mitchell and Indiana was willing to sacrifice the team game for a streak. Yeah, streaks are great, but they don't win you games, right? They don't win you games. They just don't. You need a body on the floor. You need a body on the floor. Like, how many, you see too many DMPs. I mentioned this the other day. Get another body on the floor and then see if they can gel a little bit. Figure it out. But no. I mean, Billings, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm over Billings too. 17 minutes. I don't care if it's all, I'm over. I'm over. I mean, you got Hines Allen. Was she 6'2"? 6'3"? Got a couple other players, right? You got 6'6" Russell. Right? That's a body. You have to have a presence just to even chew up fouls. You have to have a body on the block. If they're there, yeah. Because you're going to have to go big. You're going to have to see, that's the other thing. A lot of times when you know you got to match up big, then you got to sacrifice what? Some scoring on the floor. Because they need to win games defensively. Their offense is a shit show right now. Yeah, they got to figure it out. But defensively, they got to make adjustments. If they don't have the bigs on the floor, they're going to get crushed on the glass. They are going to get absolutely hammered on the glass. And they're not going to win a playoff series. They're just not. But again, it goes down to what I've been saying. It boils down to this coach. It's not a fit. She might be the right coach for this team going forward. But the caveat is this. She can be the right coach for this team going forward with Mitchell, not with Mitchell and Clark. That's all I've been saying. And I stand by that. It's not going to work. You can't serve two masters. She's not valuing the value of Caitlin Clark. She's overlooking it. She's not understanding what she has. Mitchell will still get hers, but would you rather have Mitchell get 21, 18 and 20, and Boston 15 and 10, and Clark 16 and 10, and you're winning ball games and you're holding opponents under 100? And you've got momentum going into the playoffs? Or would you rather lose a game on the road that you had two players step up and play outstanding for Dallas, given their just due, but you were still in that game and had an opportunity to win it? Or do you want the stats and the loss? I believe it's the latter. I believe subconsciously she doesn't give a shit about wins and losses. She doesn't. She's trying to basically appease all the masses, kind of like the commissioner. Problem is CC not speaking. CC wants to ride and die with White, so there's really no point in stressing over this team. It's not about riding and dying because, and Ken, I appreciate the comment, my friend, she is not a vocal person. And when we want her to be vocal, she finally says something 2 weeks after the Thomas foul. Her way of being vocal is passive-aggressive when she said, my back's fine, the doctor's cleared me, I hope I play more than 19. That was a shot at the coach a month plus ago, 2 months ago. She's not going to be a vocal. She's not going to go out of her way to call out the coach. It's not who she is. It's not how she was raised. She's a professional. She's not going to do that. But there has to be some type of conversation if they're going to continue down this path in the offseason, and they're going to have to really figure out who truly the offense runs through. Is it possible? Can't we have the offense run through both players? To be objective and to be fair? Balance, right? Every player knows their role. The coach has to define that. That's what good coaches do. I define your role. If you don't buy into it, you're going to sit your ass on the bench. You're going to sit your ass on the bench. You watch this kid play. When she's locked in, even when she's facilitating some of her passes, her court vision, there's not a better pure passer in the game of basketball in this league than Caitlin Clark. Her court vision is unbelievable. She's already thinking 2-3 passes ahead. She has an understanding of where her teammates need to be. And sometimes her teammates don't have an understanding. That's why sometimes they're like, oh, they don't even realize basketball's coming their way. Dallas went after Clark, defensively having her defend. Yeah, which was not good. And those two players, I mean, that kid was phenomenal last night. Right, and then they switched off. It was a bad game plan from the get-go. You know you're going against a team that has size, so you have to negate the size. And they didn't do that. Caitlin has to leave her career and brand will be affected negatively. I've been saying it, man. I've been saying it. I've been flat out saying it. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, man. It's time. Yes, I didn't even want to bring it up, Heather, but yeah. And they were kind of chuckling when someone brought up the defense. I mean, it's just... It's beyond petty. It's beyond petty. It's like, you know, if you're gonna, if you want to run with the big dog, you run with the big dog. If you don't want to run with the big dog, then you keep your ass on the porch. Like, you can't have it both ways. Unleash the beast. Like, just have trust in your best all-around complete player. That's all. Just have trust. And if you don't have trust, you don't have comparability, I got news for you. If the coach doesn't trust the player, your teammates aren't going to trust you. Remember I made that point? If you have players coming off the bench and they knock down a couple shots, now all of a sudden your teammates are looking at you. I've seen it. I've seen it in leagues, man. I've seen it where guys have walked on to teams in various leagues where didn't have a big background in college, but they're scrappy. They're taking charges. They're diving for loose balls. They're going to the rim. Now, all of a sudden, the coach is seeing them in practice. They're starting to knock down their shots. Now they go from 3 minutes to 8 minutes to 12 minutes to 16 minutes. Now you're playing in the fourth quarter. Why? Because your teammates trust you. Your coach instilled that in your teammates. If your coach trusts you, your teammates will trust you. If your coach doesn't trust you, your teammates are not going to trust you. This coach will not trust her enough to play her style and brand of basketball, which benefits the team's offense in its entirety. And last night, the perfect moment is when Boston had her wide open to her left, and she decided to swing it to Cunningham. That told me everything I need to know. Everything I need to know. Bad brand of basketball. All right, let me filter through a couple comments. By the way, I told you, we got a lot of NFL content. Just saying, sub, comment, subscribe. If the ads are running, then you can always do the chats, which we never encourage. We want you to sub. That's what we want. Click the notifications. Fever organization, not smart at all. Kame is a good player. She's over 30 years old. Very soon her legs are going to give out. You put your stock in your future. That's Caitlin Clark. They're not going to do that. It's all recency bias. It's like having that aging quarterback who throws for 4,000, 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns, and you know your offensive line is bad, but you decide we're going to run it back with the same offensive line and the quarterback. And what happens? The quarterback winds up hurt on their ass. Legs go out pretty fast in basketball. You're right. 30, you feel like you're 33. And when your shot is constantly short, your legs are given away. And when you're burning through a lot of minutes, your legs are eventually going to be... You can't... If Mitchell was 26, 27, fine. Not 30, 31. You're going to build around her the next 3, 4, 5 years? Then you're going to have a 26-point scorer on a losing basketball team. And you're going to go through 2 to 3 head coaches. I have no idea, man. I'm telling you, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. Down in little Tijuana. White is not a player coach. He's an agenda and favoritism coach. I'm over Boston, who can't screen, two-faced around CC, done with Cam, who doesn't pass. Done with, oh my goodness, Anthony just fired on but a friggin' Friday. Got to send you a link to fresh roasted coffee. Calm you down, brother. Sometimes Clark is the captain of the team at the timeout. She has to flash some anger, but not over the top and tell the coach and player on the floor to give me the ball. I know. You can lead the horse or the camel to the water. You can't force it to drink. I was that type of player, man. I barked. You want the ball. You want the ball. You want your touches. You want the ball. But some players don't. They don't bark like that. Amy chimes in, correct teams won't trap KM. She's a scorer. CC create points for the whole team and herself. Tough loss happens. Move on. Let's get back to playing real basketball with rebounding. Well, they don't have size, my friend. And that's an issue. That's an issue. That is a big-time issue. You can't teach size overnight. I don't think anyone's going to grow. You know what happens, though? It's like the whack-a-mole, right, Bill? It's like the whack-a-mole. Maybe because you're not commenting some, right? Maybe they're floating around. Like there's this saying, you know, we see you watching, lurking. Maybe she's the best player on the Fever. Right now, she's the best player on the Fever. Kelsey Mitchell, she's the best scorer. Absolutely. Because of the stretch run. I don't think she's the best all-around player. You guys love scoring, but you forget about what? Caitlin Clark rebounds pretty damn good for a guard, and she's the best pure point guard in basketball. So you take Clark off the floor, I got news for you. Mitchell's not getting hers like she always does. Why? Because I'm commanding a double and triple team, and I'm allowing her to get on her spot. It's basketball one-on-one. Come on. It's like, again, you got the running back. Everyone's going to stack the box. Why? Because they have a threat of the running back breaking through the tackle on the secondary. So we're not going to key on the run. We're keying on the run, right? Because now you got the decoy. I mean, James Hasty brought up a great point yesterday. Toughest running back he ever had to try to tackle was Barry Sanders. So elusive. He said we would drift back a yard because of fear. If you don't tackle him around the waist, you go low, he's going to spin move. He's going to juke you, right? So think about it like this now. Barry Sanders instilled fear. So now all of a sudden, what happens? You had 2, 3, you had DBs, corners, you had linebackers, everyone converged on him because they did not want to give up that yard. They did not want him to break free. Okay? Think about it with Caitlin Clark. You got 2 or 3 defenders that are constantly smothering her, converging on her. So obviously, do the math, it's going to leave other players wide open. Her ability, her court vision to see the floor like no other finds those players in the right spot. She knows the difference between a chest pass and a bounce pass, especially on transition. Few do. She knows exactly when I dribble drive and I see someone out of the right in the coffin corner, I can have the defender slide, I can go to the rim, or what? I can trust my teammate. Go back to that 2 games ago. She drew a triple team. Kelsey Mitchell, these are facts that you don't want to hear. Kelsey Mitchell would have decided to go right to the bucket. She wouldn't have kicked it out. You know what Clark did? She draws the double triple. She kicks it out to Cunningham in the coffin corner, who hits the 3 to seal the win. That's basketball IQ. That is a winning basketball play. I'm not saying Mitchell's a dumb player, but she is a selfish player at times. It's innate. It's ingrained in her to get hers. And the coach is basically adding fuel to that fire because early on in the game, it's feed the beast. So eventually now you think every possession, you should have the rock. There's no team that's winning like that. Even Jordan and those Bulls teams, he always had a Robin. He always had confidence. Jordan, if you look at those championships they won, besides that last one against Utah, when he shakes and brushes off and pushes off Russell, go to those series early on in Jordan's career. Who hit big shots? Who did he trust? He trusted Craig Hodges. He trusted Johnny Paxson. He trusted Steve Kerr. No one has any trust in this kid right now because the coach doesn't have trust in her. You saw it yesterday. Cunningham looks her off. Gives her the little bar shrug. Not interested. Walk away. I mean, who does that? Come on. Maria, Maria, Maria. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué tal, Maria? It's just stop pushing this narrative, man. Just stop. I don't care who the best player is on the floor right now. It's not relevant for this conversation. It's about coaching. It's about coaching. And this coach stinks. Back to media, ESPN headline was about Mitchell streak, not about the game score. No. Because it's ESPN. It's the friggin' rat ship. If Caitlin Clark scores 50 and Mitchell has 26, they will lead with Mitchell in the streak. Caitlin Clark will be like a little blurb on my little Q ticker. They're not going to give her any love. Come on, you know it and I know it. That's by design. We're past that point. By design. Disgraceful. Disgusting. Sabotage. My YouTube broadcast on my Apple phone is 2 minutes behind my YouTube broadcast on TV. What commercials? I only get your sidebar. I think it's also how you view, to be quite honest, right? I have no idea what's going to happen during football because I have new advertisers coming on. And to be honest, I think they want me to run commercials. And we already know you guys have no friggin' patience. And you know exactly who you are. You know exactly who I'm talking to. No patience. You guys had the audacity. You guys had the absolute balls the other day to tell me to stop running commercials. I don't run them during the show. You know exactly, and stop laughing because you guys know exactly who I'm actually pinpointing. I got Paul commenting on my video at 7:30 this morning, trying to work through my first cup of fresh roasted, and he's already trolling me. Special D, appreciate that. Cam even said in press conference she was just happy everyone made her look good. Oh my God, you can't write this shit. You can't script it up any other way. This league, man, it is the gift. It's almost like James Harden in the NBA, who, oh, by the way, another 3-year deal, $97 million. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Playoffs are going to be fun. They really are. Especially if they get bounced. Doing the same thing Teaspoon was doing. I've said this, man. I appreciate Angel Reese's tenacity. I do. I really do. But I also do watch these games religiously. And I watched a lot of games where I've never seen a player get blocked from behind more than Angel Reese. And that also, with these bunnies that are missed, it opens up the door for rebounding. But I give her flowers. That was a nice win last night by them. And she's putting up solid numbers. She is. She's putting up some solid numbers. It always does, man. It gets lost in the chat, and it gets lost on the show. Caitlin needs to make shots, especially in the fourth quarter. That's where you separate. No one's arguing that. No one's arguing that. You want to be taken like that? Then here we go. Billy B, appreciate you, brother. Greatly. Yeah, I didn't realize 2.5. I got to start wrapping it up, man. We are going to drop, by the way. I'll do a little another football show later tonight. Little free-for-all Friday. So we know you football fanatics. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely please subscribe. No, I like that handle. Yes, they don't mix. They don't gel. I've said it over and over and over. It's a bad recipe, man. It is. You're trying to come up with the secret sauce. These are bad ingredients. Two great players, but you are correct. They're never going to get in sync. It's only going to be spurts, moments. It's going to be like, again, making the eye contact with the gorgeous brunette, and then at the bar, like 30 seconds you fall in love, and then she walks away. Or, you know, the good-looking stout boyfriend walks in. It's like a flicker of hope. Like for these two, it's like a flicker of hope. It's never going to last throughout a season. It's not. It won't. It doesn't mesh. It just does not mesh. It's a bad mix. And the head coach adds fuel to that fire. The head coach is the catalyst. The head coach is the problem. Hope this is CC's last season with the Fever. Adjustments. SW makes no adjustments. No, Pam, by the way, guess what I found? Doing a little housekeeping. And I didn't find Jakar, but I found, I think it was Noir? Noir? I don't know. It might have been a men's fragrance. But I was thinking of you because you said when your hubby puts on Jakar, that's all she wrote. So just letting you know, we will not see Prime CC until she leaves the Fever, sadly. Rich, I think it's too late to have this team run the offense through Caitlin. The other teammates are locked in with Stephanie White in the front office. CC has to, I'm telling you, forced to trade. And you might be right. Michael, be well, man. Appreciate you, brother. NFL talk maybe later tonight. Just to let you guys know. I am the type of person I believe in winning. I believe in championship. I don't care who gets the most points as long as we win. Shouldn't make which players shining. Jealousy is a bad boy. Jealousy is no good. Pettiness and jealousy, it's not a winning formula. It's not. Rich, so when you express concern for CC's career and brand, does that mean that the Fever should be more concerned with CC than their own organization? Should Fever focus on team or promoting CC? No one's saying promote her. But you have a generational talent and you're not utilizing her. There's a big difference. I've never said her career and brand. I'm concerned for her career. I've never said career and brand in quotes. Never said that. I'm concerned for her career and the fact that if she continues down this path with this organization, she will never truly reach her ceiling. If you want to unlock greatness, then you have to allow greatness to be unlocked. The head coach won't do it. The GM won't do it. The organization won't do it. Her brand is her brand, man. That's going nowhere. Listen, she can force a trade and she can have a down year next season. Her brand will not be affected. It won't. The brand is a media-driven brand. It is a for fodder, clicks, content brand. We already know what her brand is, and we already know what her brand has led to. It's not going away. Her merchandise will always sell. She's got the Nikes coming out in October. She can play anywhere. She's already getting calls for other leagues. The brand, the effect, it's written in stone. It's etched in sports marketing history, WNBA history, CBA, broadcasting network rights deals, everything, merchandise. No issue with the brand. I have no concern with the brand. I have a concern about the player, her mindset, and her not being utilized on the floor because of this head coach. You're wasting talent. Unlock it, uncork it, let it run, let it go, let it be free. They don't want to do that because their agenda is driven by what? A friggin' streak. Because they want to push one player over her in the MVP conversation. And then the media, the weak media, they buy it, they take it, and they run with it. That's the issue I have. That's the issue I have. I don't want to see a player's career get wasted who's a generational talent. I don't want to see Miles' career get wasted if it's bad coaching. I don't. I really don't. I don't want to see Paige's career get wasted if it's bad coaching. But the elephant in the room is that those players don't have the markability remotely close to what this kid has. It's facts. There's no buckets effect. There's no Kelsey Mitchell effect. There's no Miles effect. There's no Wilson effect. There's no Jackie Young effect. There's the Caitlin Clark effect. It speaks volumes through what? And ratings and eyeballs. 12 games, national games, 12 highest games. I think 11 of them, 12 of them are Indiana. That sells. Like the old adage, sex sells, CC sells. Not about the brand. It's about talent on the floor, production on the floor, putting her in the right fit, the right scheme, the right offense, the right team, the right organization. That's my problem. That is my problem. And they're doing a disservice. Her little 25-12, her little run, the MVP conference. I'm thinking long term. And this is trending down with this head coach. I'm seeing it. It's like repetition, repetition, repetition. And it's going to get worse. And as you guys mentioned, again, it was a great point. It's probably too late, right? Bought that ticket over a month ago. If I knew it was about the Kelsey Mitchell experience, I wouldn't have bought a ticket. Subrailing, the fan turnout mostly comes from CC. That's what it is. It's markability, man. They know they can fill the arena with teasing you with the fact that tonight's going to be her night, right? They're placating you. They're playing little mind games with you. That's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly what they do, right? They would put 8 in the box against Barry. I still don't. Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, right? That's what James said. He said, we had to drip back, man. We were giving up a yard or two just so he wouldn't shake us. This is going to be my last year supporting CC if she stays on the team. She is this. I don't think she's stupid. Can't see what the whole world does. She deserves to get 10 points every game. White will not let her. I don't think it's stupid. Listen, they're 20. They're still young, right? They're still young. She's 24, right? Rich, I like you, bro. Appreciate that. But you need to tell the truth. Oh, horrible last night. I've been on the air for 2:37. I think I said she played piss poor. And by the way, I mentioned 2 weeks ago when she had 25 and 12, she didn't play her best game, and I got hammered. It's not Steph's fault. She was 2 of 15. It's not Kelsey's fault. She was 9 of 18. It means that Kelsey made the most of time. It's the coach's fault to some extent, and let me tell you why. Just hear me out for a second. And your point's a valid run. It is. And it's not about how many Kelsey scored and if they would have lost. It's about starting off the game, knowing the game plan was to not get her involved. And then all of a sudden she misses shots. She's pulled. She has a defensive lapse. She's got a turnover. She looks over. She's pulled. It's timeout. She's not in the next 3 or 4 offensive sets. It's a domino effect. It's a trickle-down effect. She shot poorly. If she's a generational talent, you got to clean up the looks. You got to clean up the turnovers. No one's disputing that. I'm not defending her by no stretch of the imagination. But what I'm saying is, how do you game plan knowing you're going against bigs and knowing last night on the road against bigs, you can't match up. You need to push the pace and the tempo. And that means you got to unlock her, not this half-court hub crap. You got to get these two on the backcourt going downhill, penetrate and kick, create. The coach didn't want to do that. Even in half-court sets, you saw they were force-feeding Mitchell the basketball, and then she was dribble. Take. ISO. By that time, now you bleed into the first, you bleed into the second, right? And now Mitchell's got the hot hand, so he can't go away from her, and all of a sudden 22's on an island. That was my problem last night. She played poor. She did not play a good brand of basketball. And when she lacks confidence, then she thinks she's got to make it up with a logo 3. And then she drops the logo 3. And on the subsequent next 2 or 3 possessions, she doesn't even touch the basketball. It goes back to coaching. She doesn't get a pass. It just goes back to coaching. I don't like this coach. Ads, still ads. I'm going to start charging you guys. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. You have to get me on the big screen. We're going to be on other platforms. So, you know. Who you telling? I do product placement. I do my live reads. Howie, who you telling? I've been doing this for a minute, brother. I do my live reads. I did a live read. I did a football show last week. I did a friggin' 30-second live read where I took a timeout. I think I lost half the audience because I was doing a read for fresh roasted coffee and played against sports, and you guys dropped. I'll look into it. I'll look into it. I'll try to figure it out. I don't know what to tell you, man. YouTube's liking the channel. I don't know what to tell you guys. All right. Football later tonight. Right? I didn't say Brandon Career. Thank you. What do you got on Adulterated? I'll let you clean it up. I'll let you backtrack. But you read a post that you... Oh, okay. Okay. And then I commented. Okay. No, you're good, man. Stop. Caitlin Clark, come on. I'm just breaking balls. Caitlin Clark, great. KLC Mitchell is great. They are both great for Indiana Fever team. They're both great players. They're just not meant to be on the same team. Sal, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we go live. We go live multiple times during the week. Also with football. NFL show coming up. Back your play if you guys are sports bettors. We'll nail into that. I got a lot of laugh out loud because of my ads comment. All right, let me close it out. I tried to get through a lot of these comments. Kelsey traded, so I can stop here. Clarkies blame them for everything. My God, when they say we're winning streak, it was all CC praise. Now they lose. It's everyone else but her. She played poorly last night. When you play poorly, you're going to get ripped. When you play well, you're going to get credit. Mitchell had 37 last night. Not taking anything away from Mitchell. It's not about Mitchell. It's not about Clark. It's about the head coach. And the head coach has to go. Mike in Ohio, Q, I got you on the big tube. No TVs for me. Ha, ha, ha. Get paid. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. All right, 2:41. I mean, come on, man. We've been on for almost 3 hours, guys. Love you guys to death. I got to start wrapping it up. We'll do a football show. We'll bang into that. Yeah, I'm going to start. That's what Tom in Philly says, you know, start banging out the super chats. I said, look, the content's free, man. The sports betting podcast, that's going to be free content too. But if you always want to contribute, you guys contribute. We're not going to say no to a couple shekels and coins. Thank you very much, Angel Reese. We are back at it. We're going to try to fire off a little later on tonight. We also have to call the fights on the West Coast. So we might do about a 20-minute or so NFL topic dialogue. There you go. DB says, see you tonight. How about the Mets on fire? Yankees got the win, by the way, DB. See you tonight. Ads free. And then tomorrow we'll be back on, as always. Ed, we got, listen, I was blowing up. Chime in. Ed, you got to subscribe to the channel. We got a ridiculous amount of content. We got a ridiculous amount of NFL content. And we have all our divisional breakdowns. We're going to start doing the win totals and the over-unders. Got to disagree. Being together, they're fine until White came on board. There's something to be said about that. But you got an alpha and you got a passive, you got a submissive player in Clark, mentally wise. You got an alpha in KM. I don't know if it's going to work though, long term. Okay, I'm going to keep it real. You got to. Clark is her own victim. She has created her game with the logo 3 as a feature to her game. She tries to live it up. When she's guarded tight, she struggles. She had a couple nice buckets over buckets last night. She's a great player, but we also subscribed into the logo 3. Like, I don't need her to shoot from the logo. You know, just knock down your clean looks to start, will you? Right? I mean, that's not asking too much. She's probably going to bounce back tomorrow. You might want to bookmark 23 and 10 tomorrow night. And then again, it's a different conversation, right? Never tell a player stop shining. Let the other player shine. I'll tell both players to shine. The light is much brighter when you shine together. BB, it's gospel, brother. But the coach won't do that. The coach won't do that. You got to unlock greatness, right? You just let it unlock, man. Let it flow, right? All right, back at it later tonight and then mañana. If you are new to the channel, thank you guys. I'll figure out what the hell's going on with the ads. Listen, we got to get paid, man. We got our live reads on we got our banner ads coming up, as you guys alluded to. I mean, I did a live read for Fresh Roasted. I'm telling you, I had like 700 viewers, and then I did the live read for 30 seconds. It drops to like 200. You guys want me to talk all the way through for 3 freaking hours. Audio version up on Spotify and Apple. NFL tonight. If you missed the interview with James Hasty yesterday, check it out on the channel on demand. We went through the first time rookie head coaches and who's already on the hot seat going into the season as a first-time rookie head coach. Or I should hedge it and say this. Who might be one and done as a first-time, first-year rookie head coach in the NFL? So a little more football tonight. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys are phenomenal. Thanks for hanging out with me for most of the afternoon. As always, it's a Friday edition of On Cue, powered from our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with TSR 1029 FM The Game. And also, Sports 48, Destin FM. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you, DB. Yeah, James is phenomenal. He's phenomenal. That platform that he has with the metadata and the X's and O's to CPass, it's incredible stuff. And I didn't say it yesterday, but there's a reason if you are a novice sports bettor or gambler, that's some quantitative, sound information that you can potentially use to your advantage when you're looking at these games, because it goes down to coaching. Always goes to coaching. Yeah, it's crazy stuff to break down. We're going to talk more about that during the season. Shiloh, always appreciate you, my friend. Be well. All right, got to start wrapping it up. Got to walk and feed the pup. Back at it. Mañana. Back at it later tonight as well. Little NFL talk. And we'll carry over with the conversation tomorrow. But you guys are fantastic. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications. If you don't want the ads, just contribute financially to the show. You guys have a good Sports Friday. I'll talk to you guys later on tonight. A little free-for-all Friday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm Rich Quiñones. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, mi día.